Hello, konnichiwa, hola everyone, welcome to the stream. My name is Leo, I'm your resident demi-vampire singer and professional simp, and there's already lost frames, my goodness. What a record. And sorry about that, I was just like moving things around and then I pushed myself backwards on my chair to close the door. And that's why I suddenly became very small and fidgety. Anyway, so today we are continuing and probably no, that wasn't your Wi-Fi. We are continuing and possibly, hopefully, maybe finishing Lake of Voices. Last where we left off, we got like technically 3 endings. Like one is the same, just the character who survives changes. And the other one, it's like I feel like it felt like a true-ish ending of sorts. So I think it's just like a one of the true endings, I guess. And in that one, Bemele survived. I finally learned his name properly. Bemele survived, but Margaret died. So I just want to go back real quick and see if also there's some construction going on with the neighbors and I don't know why or why they decided to do it right now. So if you hear noises, it's that. Apologies in advance. Anyway, so I just want to see how the story ends if Margaret survives instead of Bemele, and then we'll go back on the many choices we did alongside the route to see like what changes and if we can find a way for them both to survive, because I like when the game says not everyone, you can't save everyone, I'm just assuming that the third character is the one that's not salvageable all the time, because if you save him you sacrifice one of the others, but at the end of the road it was just the 2 of us. Just the 2 of us. So yeah. I don't remember which save file is it though. Is it this one? No. It's the one where I think it's this one. No. It should be. Okay, let's. No, I don't want to save. I want to load. This is how they get you. Let's load this one. I think it's this one. Yep, it's when we were trying to take away the medicine. Let's give the guy his medicine. And that way we will get to the end of everything. Say nothing, because if he takes a full dose then we're doomed. At least we know that choice is like say nothing.
I want to stay here. What if it breaks?
And then oh no, Margaret died again. It had to be like Bemele go ahead without us. Dang it. So this is gonna be a little awkward until I get to that part. To ye. Because there's gonna be like no dialogue or anything as I'm skipping through things. It's always like this whenever we try to reach like endings. Bemele go without us, that's the one. And then the thing gets him, he dies. Tragic. Oh, this is new dialogue. Okay, this is when the I was gonna say the Wendigo, but no, this is not. What was the name of that game? It's just a prank, Hannah. That's all I remember, and the Wendigos. It's one of those motion capture games. Well, not for you, like that has motion capture actors. Broken Back Boy. I forget, but it's one of those where your decisions matter. Ironically, also decides who survives and who doesn't. Anyway, I'll remember at some point. Margaret releases a distraught sigh. With her free hand, she rubs her eyes in exasperation. I eye the monster intently. It makes no move to leave us, so I turn to the guide instead.
Here, take my lantern. Once it's scared off, we'll make our way to the shore. It shouldn't...
Okay, yeah, so the same plan. Margaret and I stay close enough to the guide back to keep from being left behind in the darkness. Yep, so we run, and then we reach the end. Oh, hold on, give me a second, guys. There we go. Dogo wanted to be let out, so I let him out. Where was I? Okay, so yeah, so we get to the end, and Margaret cries loudly, unable to contain her emotions as she reaches the shore. I rest there quietly for a few moments, just taking time to allow my breathing and emotions to settle down. I think this... Okay, no, this is not the same text. Finally, I look up from my lap to see Margaret standing ahead of me. Her face is buried in her hands. However, it's out of disbelief rather than the sorrow it's been countless times in the past 2 days. Also... Oh, I accidentally clicked. Also, will this reveal to us, like, why she wanted to cross so bad? Oh, hold on. Again. He ended up deciding that he did not want to be outside. Again. Anyway. I was just scratching him. Oh my god, what's happening to my tracking today? It's so odd. Alright, anyway. She lifts her head out of her hands, and the both of us make eye contact. Ouch! He's... So you guys can't see this, obviously, but he's... No, I can't leave the door open. 'Cause there are other noises outside. But he always does this anyway. He wants to go in, then I let him in, and then he wants to go outside like 5 minutes later, and then I let him out, and then he wants to come back in again, and it's just this endless cycle. Or dog or door, indoor. There's no space for that door to have a double door. Like, it's not an outside as in a garden, it's an outside as in the hallway. But you guys can see this, but he's trying to get my attention, and so he basically dug his nails, his claws on my leg while trying to do so. Because he's stretching at the same time. He multitasks. He asks for attention and also like stretches. And by doing that, he digs his nails in my leg. Anyway, she lifts her head out of her hand. Okay, yeah, so and the both of us make eye contact. So I was wondering if maybe we'll finally get to see why Margaret wanted to cross the river so bad, or whatever this is, because it might... I think they always call it like it's a lake, but it's a very long one. That's why it seems sometimes like we're traveling a whole ocean, but it's not a whole ocean. Because we knew that Memele and Kika, the protagonist, wanted to cross because they needed to help some people over here, but we didn't really know the reasons why Margaret was so desperate to cross, like, at the same time. No words need to be exchanged between us to know that what the other is thinking. I'm glad for it, because I'm not sure I would be able to speak even if I needed to. Okay, let's skip ahead, because I think this is the same thing of the... With that, the guide walks towards me, and then we never see each other again. I look away to face Margaret, not wanting to get caught up in this any longer.
Will you be coming?
Margaret's gaze goes past the guide and me. She fixates on the lake forlornly. I feel hopelessness emanating from her. She lost something important from the inside of her in that lake. Something she will never get back. I empathize greatly with her, knowing that feeling is one we will never escape from, even after this lake is far behind us. Margaret seems to shake the feeling off and turns towards me. The smallest of smiles graces her lips as she nods.
Yes, I'm coming.
Also, how's the volume, guys? Because I saw that last time it was a little bit low on the voice acting end. So please let me know. Why are my eyes closed? There we go. Let me just move myself a little further down. There we go. Nice. Margaret's burger returns to her at the end of that sentence. She speaks with a little bit of the confidence she had at the beginning of the journey. She gives one last look to our lead. Her gaze is harsh and scrutinizing. I'm not entirely sure what she's trying to convey with the look, but that isn't for me to know. Margaret definitively turns. She then walks towards the forest. I can't help but wonder what will become of her now. Perhaps she will tell me someday. There we go. Yeah, but Melly and Lou, they died. Hold on. I thought the text was the same, but apparently not, because it never let me skip. Despite the firmness I so painfully trying to have, my heart starts to waver. Pamela, Lou, they're both still here. I wish to give them a proper farewell. I want to do something. My eyes begin to water, and I almost turn back around. No, it is done. I need to remember that. They would never want me to ascribe their lives to sin loss. Nothing will disgrace their memory more. I will keep them in my thoughts without allowing the lake to poison me. Okay. So now what? With solemn heart, I at last arrived at Hammer. They were grateful to see me, for it was a desperate situation indeed. The urgency meant that my mind was occupied with other matters. I worked tirelessly to aid Hammer's own guards in forcing back the brigadiers. But during the moments of calm and when the sun went down, I would remember the lake. Why do I keep clicking accidentally? Because I bump into my phone with the chat. Did we win? We're trying to get all the endings. We won technically last time, but not quite. But during the moments of calm and when the sun went down, I would remember the lake. There's Mamele. The villagers were alarmed when I arrived on my own, but it did not take them long to guess what must have happened to Mamele. Having to recount the terrible story was almost more than I could endure. Yet, I know that it will be even worse when I must tell my fellow guards back home. They deserve to hear the truth from me, regardless of how I feel. Now, why was Margaret desperate to come here? Margaret and I parted ways before I arrived at Hammer. She did not say where she would be going or come on, or what she would be doing. She did, however, put on a smile as she departed, which I felt was more for my sake than her own. I hope she's well, wherever she is, and I would like to think that somehow we may see each other once more on another day. When receiving payments for his services, the guide must give a report of all of those who both succeeded and failed to cross the lake. I was finally able to learn the name of the stranger we met on the bridges, Lou. As the guide predicted, he did not survive. He had requested to cross and been denied. He must have been truly desperate to attempt the crossing alone. I can only pray that those who care for him will learn the truth of what happened. I have not heard nor seen the guide since then. He will remain obscured in that realm of fog and fear, a mysterious light off in the distance that is ever out of reach of the real world. I worry about when I must return home to my usual life. It will be difficult to continue as things were before. One thing I know for certain is that my village elder must be told that no one is to cross Sindlos again. I have already told him or the leaders the same. Not a single more person should have to experience what we did. Its darkness will remain with me for the rest of my days. Though so much was lost, I try to believe that our lessons will keep others again from suffering the same way, and, in the end, something will be gained. And then it ends. And then we restart. How many endings are there? I actually don't know. What's the plot? So, we are a couple of knights. Like, we start as a couple of knights that are trying to cross this lake called Sinlos that apparently is very dangerous. And then, so we request, like, there's apparently a guide that helps you cross Sinlos at night. Because the bridge only appears at night. The bridge you cross to get to the other side. And so there was also another person that the guide said he was gonna take to the other side, but this person is like the one we saw just now is Margaret. Our partner in crime, or our fellow knight, is called Bemele, and so the three of us venture in this journey through the bridge of Sinlos, where there are some things called prowlers that come out of the lake and climb into the bridge every now and then. But they are weak to light, so we have, lanterns to help us like fend them off. Then we reach a middle point in an island during the day, so we can rest there, because they do not come out during the day, but also the bridge doesn't exist, so it's not like we can continue our journey and we have to wait until night. And so the whole point is to like cross this bridge, but the premise is that you can't save everyone. Along the way you meet another stranger that you have to either you have to leave him to die basically, or take with you but risk the guide not helping you anymore to cross the lake. And because we don't know the way, we're very dependent on the guide. So, no, they're not owls. They're these creatures. Like, hold on, let me go to the main menu. I think we have like CGs of them. Return. CG gallery. These are the prowlers. I don't know if they kind of look like owls. Why do they exist? I don't know. But they come out of the dark. Yeah, but they're not. But the dark waters. Owls don't come out of water. You're so weird, confused. I mean, con. It's because you two go like con at the beginning and then I get confused. Oh, wait, I never saw the full CG of Margaret dying. She's trying to like... She's holding onto one of the prowlers. Because this is her hair. I don't remember her hair. But she's like holding onto one of the prowlers. Yikes. Because I know Bemele just like tries to fight it. Like just tries to stay afloat. But then he can't and he dies. They're not little owls. Anyway, so we reached an end, like 2 endings last time where we died, and then a quote-unquote good ending where one of them dies. And in that case, I think we let Margaret die, and then we escaped with Bemele here. And now I tried to, like, the ending where Bemele dies but Margaret survives. And now I'm trying to go back and get, like, all the other choices I didn't last time. So we can, like, try to get the different endings. But I don't know how many are there, actually. Bemele.
Do it. To die on these boards is my fate.
Yeah, there wasn't a choice here, so I must return to the menu. I forgot about that for a second there. Go without us, say nothing. This is the one where we let him either drink the vial or not. For the injured leg. I think this is the one where we have the choice to either help the guide or just let him fend the prowlers by himself on the island. So let us load this. This is better than Before Your Eyes? Story-wise? I think it's about the same. Here's the thing. I'm tired of this Before Your Eyes thing. The story is not bad in itself. Like, it's good. I just don't see why it's so sad. Like, at least in my case, because we're exploring the underworld or whatever that is, I just assumed the kid died. You know? Maybe it's a spoiler for Before Your Eyes, I guess, if you haven't played it. Or maybe it's an adult and we're there with the cat man for some reason. I didn't really know how far into his life he's got until he just closed his eyes accidentally because I blinked too fast and then it was done. And I was like, what the heck? So it's not that the story is bad, it's a good story, it's a decent story, but it just didn't make me sad. I was just annoyed at the mom because the mom was annoying. And then at the end she tries to be like, oh, I am so sorry. Well, she doesn't say sorry necessarily, but she's like, my child is enough for who he is, not what I'm trying to make him to be. But you know, he's already dying, so it's whatever. So I was just not sad. I was just confused as to why the story ended there at the beginning, and then I was like, okay, so I guess he just went to the afterlife and that's that. Anyway, I grip my lantern tighter as I swallow hard. What can I do? To answer my own question. Yeah, I could throw it, but the Nixie would get to us then. Especially after Margaret lost hers only moments ago then. Throw the lantern, this time. I nod firmly to myself, set on the decision. I've seen the guide perform to move right in front of me. I know it isn't an impossible feat. Now something has to be done. I inch my way over to the most advanced group of Nixie. They drift slowly as they attempt to get behind the guide. I'm of no concern to them, at least for the time being. Well, they're also called the Nixie. It isn't until like they get on the surface that they're called Prowlers, but their OG name is the Nixie for some reason. I can't silence you here. See, now you're in timeout. Do not test me. The guide spots me, and we make eye contact for a moment. He doesn't say anything and abruptly fixes his gaze elsewhere. It gives me the impression that he's aware of what I'm planning on doing. He's ignoring me because he doesn't want the Nixie to recognize a coming threat. I steady my arms and assume a strong stance. I stop for a heartbeat to take a deep breath. Then I jump forward a small way and toss my lantern towards a group of Nixie on the guide's right side. They're all caught completely off guard, practically wheezing as they scatter and dive back into the depths below. None even attempt to steal the lantern. That is a great relief. The guide seizes this moment to swing his staff at a group of Nixie on his left. The light edging close to them combined with the general chaos disturbs the creatures enough to frighten them. The left group joins the right in retreat. The guide observes the water line, making certain that they all have crawled back into the water, and then releases a small sigh. He walks over to retrieve my lantern off the sand where it landed, keeping his eyes fixed steadily behind him. Tentatively, I take a few steps towards him. He extends his arm forward, offering my lantern back to me. I never gotten so close to the guide before. He hasn't allowed it. Being in his presence this way feels unclear. I don't have the words to describe what it turns inside me. His eyes are expectant, impatient, and I waste no more time. I move to accept it, but I flinch before I can grasp it. His face hardens, scrutinizing the unexpected reaction. I banish whatever expression was on my face and take hold of what's mine.
It is nothing.
He lets it go, though. Though does not make any attempt to leave. I don't believe it is because he's worried about leaving me in darkness. He still suspects something's wrong. The guide watches closely as I set the lantern aflame once more. Its light gently washes over me and I smile at the sight. This too, I hold, is one of the exceedingly few comforts one can have on Sinlos. I do not wish to part with it again. This tool I hold, I told. Okay. I was like, I did not get whatever I just read. Who is you? This one? Okay. He's still here, and I begin to worry the guide intends to admonish me for what I've done. I may have left the emotions show on my face again. I may have left the emotions show on my face again because he starts to
Keeping a hold
speak.
of your light is crucial. However, if you took no risk, your only way across could have been lost. It wasn't an empty self-sacrifice.
Okay, so he recognizes that I
Position, neither
did
option
a
was
good
correct.
thing.
Neither was wrong.
Okay, whatever. Or enigmatically nods. And upon finishing up his thought, he returns to his original place. I stare flabbergasted at the guide's back. By chance, I was put in a circumstance that allowed our values to align. But never would I have expected him to acknowledge that I made an acceptable decision. I stopped myself from getting further distracted. Instead, I glanced down at my light and realized the glow looks different. I wince. There is a large crack wickedly curving up the back. Ugh. I'm thankful that it still works. Still, I fear that it will not hold out until the morning. I look forlornly at the fragile glass surrounding the simple flame. In a way, this event has forcefully reminded me of how fragile my own life is. One slip could mean the end of everything. Regardless, nothing can be done presently, and we've got enough to worry about as it is. I cannot let this consume me. We will continue to resist against this lake. After an untold period of time, the water begins to stir. There's an unusual gargling, a sound I never thought I would be this relieved to hear. Slowly, creakily, the bridges make their nightly appearance. I wonder, I'm gonna try to skip. Okay, there's no skipping ahead because this is a new route. Perfect. I wonder what's awaiting for us now that he's not gonna need to take like the vial. I know we'll probably have something to do with the light because of how our lantern is cracked, but man. Xenos is an overwhelmingly cruel environment. This island had felt like a safe haven such a short time ago, but that has been twisted to the point where I am grateful for a chance to return to the maze, and we may not even reach that. Ornix here reaching the water and wrenching themselves into the sand. The guide signals towards us. Thanks to his position on the shore, the guide is able to board the bridges without confrontation. For the rest of us, however, the Nixie begin to crowd the opening. It appears they want to get on themselves. We have desperately little time before we'll be cut out from the guide. I look to my lantern. Will this light alone be enough to cause them to disperse? And then she has the torch. Yep. Now. Oh, that's a choice that I can make. I can either tell her now or never. Okay. I will go back eventually. I quickly straighten myself out and mull over our current situation. Hold on. Let me just read real quick on the... Nope, this is not the one. History. There we go. Because I don't remember what we said. Okay, she swings the thing around. When you start walking, we will realize too much time as it is. Okay. I quickly straighten myself out and mull over our current situation. We start to consider how we're going to travel now that we only have 2 lanterns.
I can stay ahead in between the guide's light and yours. I will be fine there.
At that, I become fraught with worry. I look over at Bumele, concern rioting through my body as I wonder how he'll fare being so far away from a light source.
Well, the 3 of us could walk together. If there's one person close by, I can't imagine it would make much of a difference having another. Furthermore, I believe we've all taken enough risks for each other already for this to not be a problem.
But why can't we, like, I understand why we can't be close to the guide because he doesn't allow it. But there should be a way. Okay, whatever. Margaret. Her consideration touches me. I smile gratefully at her. Memelli and I confer with our eyes before silently agreeing with one another. We nod.
We'll do that then. Thank you.
So now we just decide to walk together instead of like having someone on the front and someone on the back and all of that. Other than having a bit of a crowd as opposed to an entirely straight line, our journey moves ahead as it did the night before. The silent night creeps along as we carefully move through the thick fog, making certain not to bump into one another. Then my lantern blinks. Oh no, it fizzles out! The three of us gasp almost simultaneously, and I hold my breath like time will stop with my breathing. To my great relief, the light flutters back on. Oh my god. The air I'd been anxiously holding in releases a sigh. What's going on? The guide has halted, but does not bother to turn around as he asks the question. I watch as he shifts his head back to look at us. The stare he gives is probing and deeply unnerving. He doesn't believe me. I return his gaze, my expression blank. We remain locked in this moment. I can feel his patience with me slipping away. He chooses not to spend any longer waiting for an answer that will not come. The guide faces his back to us once more. He acts without a word, but I know he isn't satisfied. Our small group shares anxiety-ridden looks as the guide moves ahead. I look down at my lantern. The crack seems larger than ever. I feel as though I am cracking with it. There's nothing I could do to fix it. There's nothing I could do to fix it should it go out for good.
We need to keep going. We shouldn't speak of this.
I can feel that they are apprehensive over the situation, and undoubtedly curious as to how it happened in the first place. However, this is not the time. I don't want to draw attention to this for fear of the guide catching on. But why would it be bad that he catches on that we have no light? Like, is he just not gonna share any with us? The chattering of the Nixie bubbles up out of the darkness, and I gulp harshly. The thought crosses my mind that I too have noticed what just transpired. We walk for quite a bit longer. The voices whispering amongst each other has died down, but the squishing and clicking of prowlers has replaced them. It's difficult to trace the exact origin of the sound. All I know is that it's far too close for comfort. The guide stops abruptly, bringing us to an awkward halt. Luckily, there are no impacts between the three of us.
Stay where you are.
Huh? My eye is drawn to the guide. He's making small movements, cautiously pressing his foot into the boards in front of him at different spots. Could something be wrong with the bridge itself? My theory is proven correct almost immediately.
Boards ahead are unstable. They may break when stepped on.
Oh, so now it's not a narrow path, but it's now that the boards can just give out.
Another path?
This is our path. Move slowly and do not have two people on the same
And of course,
board
then
at a
someone
time.
has to die.
I will cross first. When I find a stable section, I will inform you. Then you will follow my lead.
Okay. He doesn't allow us time to answer before darting forward. His steps are light, but beneath him the wood creaks loudly.
Why are the bridges this way? They can be burned into ash and will still rise the next nightfall. And yet this spot is less stable than the rest.
It is strange.
There likely isn't a reason for it. It's just another piece of madness.
The
Could be that.
unnatural black water has a great deal of magic within. That is the most reasonable source of the bridges. If this maze is formed without an intelligent creator, that would explain its treacherous nature.
Oh my god, Margaret. The guide breaks with his cautious steps, testing the security of the bridge.
Where I am now is solid. You only need to reach this position.
Okay.
We'll be right there.
I face the others.
To ensure that there is enough light for all of us, I will go second. We
Okay.
need to keep enough distance between each other to not break the boards.
Sure. Pamela elects to lead us and starts going forward, inching gingerly across the trembling boards. After there's some distance, I begin to follow, focused on keeping my movement steady. Margaret is the last to leave. The three of us carefully navigate the creek in soggy wood. We attempt We attempt to keep the guide's path in hopes that the board will hold. I feel my foot lay heavily on the board. It bends hair-raisingly under me. I wince as I slowly step out of it. I wonder if we should be crawling on all fours to spread our weight over a wider space, but that may make us vulnerable to those creatures. My focus is broken when I hear a shout from ahead. Oh! I need to save Bemele. I instinctively rush forward, but the abrupt movement and added weight causes the board to splinter completely. Oh, I die. I hit the cold water like a slap, smacking my head on a falling chunk of wood. All I can do is try to swim back to the surface despite the thick cold of water and growing fog in my mind. Before I can reach it, I feel something latch into my legs with a grip like an iron manacle. I struggle to kick the weight up, flailing my legs desperately as my air supply dwindles. It only heightens its grip so much I can feel my ankle bones caving in. Ouch! It drags me farther away from the upper world of air, light and life. I can feel more clawed hands grab me, and with an icy turning of my insides, I realize that it's already too late for me. Despite this, I struggle and thrash about as much as my burning lungs will let me, so that if he fell into the water too, I can at least keep the monsters busy with me. This last sense of purpose keeps me fixated, even as my senses get fuzzy. I'm dragged lower and lower with a vague smile on my face until the darkness completely overtakes me. And then we die. Did they just pop up the moment you... A fearful and reckless conclusion. Panic. Steam achievement. Did they just pop up the moment you are without light for over a second? Yeah, like the moment you have less light, they just... I mean, even when we had like all our lanterns, they would randomly pop up on the bridge. But the less light, the more likely they are to just crawl and get you. Alright, so we died. And I didn't save any of the choices I did, so we're gonna have to load again at this point. And skip ahead until that moment. Throw the lantern, and then we skip up until this moment. I want to save here. Here. And then we do nothing. Margaret yelps, the flames leapt in the wind and singed her fingers. On instinct, she lets go of the source of her pain.
Right? I am.
Margaret answers me, frustration apparent. The fire rapidly eats away at the branch on the ground until there isn't enough safe wood left to pick it up again. Oh. Hard on my
I'll
face.
have to go on my own and ward them off. Once they move away, the two of you should follow behind me.
So this is how it would go if we don't have... If she doesn't throw the torch. Okay.
There's too much risk for you to come with me. I'm going now.
So we go ahead. Ooh, new CG. That doesn't sound... That doesn't seem like a good outcome will come out of this. I turn my heels towards the Nixie. There's even more of them now. They drag themselves pitifully along the ground, reaching up their hands in our direction, like beggars. Unfortunately, nothing can be done to help these creatures. Oh yeah, all of these I think are supposed to be the eyes. Oh. I keep clicking this. As I approach, they curl their bodies from the light of my lantern. None of them move to retreat, however. Eyeing them warily, I quickly jump forwards in the hope of startling them. A few hiss and flail, pulling themselves into the water. One responds a different way. He returns the aggression by lashing out and knocks my light free. The lantern falls to the ground and blinks out. Oh no, I gasp. I'm dead. Before I can turn around, one of them pounces on my back, forcing me to the sand as well. I frantically call out to the others.
Run! Get to the bridges!
Many more pile on. I dig my fingers in those loose granules. It puts up no restraint as they begin to drag me closer to the shore. There is shouting, but I'm not able to make out what their words are. As I feel the thick water begin to lap against my legs, I know in my soul that I will never escape. This is the end. There are a lot of bad endings. Protecting what matters until the end. I like that achievement. Okay, let me load again. Now I can load from here and then just skip ahead. And so the next choice is to do nothing. He's probably gonna die. It's either me or him. Despite every cell in me screaming to help, I force myself not to make any sudden movements. Pamela lifts his foot up from the cusp of the water and places it back on the board in front of him. Thank goodness, the entire section could have collapsed. Margaret looks at us, clearly concerned.
Part of the board broke. Everyone is fine, however. You should avoid that section completely.
Okay.
All right.
We're still in much danger as we stand here. I encourage him to begin moving once more. I make sure to skip over the broken board myself when I come to it. As I pass by the hole, I catch a bit of movement in the water, but when I look closely, there's nothing there. Oh, so he didn't fall. Okay. So it was just me being a dumbass. Nice. In the grim dark future, there is only bad endings. After a few more agonizing minutes, everyone reaches the other side of the trap. Each of us three mutter various expressions of relief. There isn't a word from our guide. We continue our journey across the bridges, sharing small sporadic bits of conversation. Until we plunge into darkness. No, the thing went out. I immediately come to a screeching halt that almost makes the two near me lose their footing. I look down at my lantern. It is dark as the water. The three of us stare at it, silently pleading. A few moments pass, and yet the lantern remains cold and lifeless. In desperation, I jiggle the lantern, hoping that somehow something will click and the light will return. Nothing happens. I feel the others' nerves climbing with every second. They shift uncomfortably as they watch me pathetically attempt to relight it. We are quiet, still hoping that the guide will notice. I see his shaking and tap the sides of the cracked glass. When that doesn't yield any results, I open the lantern itself and look over the internal workings. I cannot reach inside. Despite its appearance, the metal has retained the heat from before and I would be burned. As the darkness stretches on, I frantically try to figure out what the problem is from sight alone to no avail. There we go, he catched up with that. The indifferent tone of the speaker is unmistakable. No, not yet. I look up from my work to see that the guide is approaching us. I'm at a loss for words. He comes near and the edges of his light shelter us, like a blanket.
Relight it.
How? My hands begin to tremble. I know that it won't do anything, but I do as demanded and hope for a miracle. I attempt to get the inner core to catch flame, but the lantern refuses to comply no matter what I do. The guide's eyes widen as the full scope of the situation dawns on him. My two companions start nervously fidgeting and whisper about possible solutions, but I hear each one getting shut down.
What are we going to do now?
Marcus' voice comes out shaky. He's gonna go ahead without us, isn't he? I look at the guide forlornly. We're completely at his mercy now, if he has any to spare at all. He coldly surveys the three of us. After silently deliberating, he narrows his eyes until there's slits in his face.
I will allow one of you to remain in my light.
Well, fudge. One? So... I can't win, man!
It's insanity! Your staff creates more than enough light for the four of us. We could
Yeah, but he
easily
doesn't
follow
want to
it a
get
distance
graphed in
if we
case
wanted.
one of us gets graphed.
Someone who wants to live will share their light with no one. I will not share my light with three.
He almost snarls at us.
After everything that's happened, all that we've done, you're going to abandon two of us this easily? You truly are a bastard.
Stop. If you take so much as one wrong step towards him, all the guide will do is flee. There is no chance that fighting will end in more people surviving.
Pamela doesn't say anymore, but grits his teeth. Margaret is completely frozen, her mind racing to process everything.
What about two? Could you please keep two of us safe?
The guide sharply shakes his head.
I will allow one and no more. Two will be left behind.
Finality rings out from his words.
Lingering at a distance far behind my light will leave you vulnerable. The wisest option is to continuously move, even if it means going another way.
Pamela glowers at the guide hatefully. Beside me, Margaret begins to whisper something to herself. I can't make out what it is. A torrent of thoughts rips through my mind as I try to find some other way. What? My body stiffens. The guide has never referred to me by name this way. It is jarring enough to gain my attention, even amidst the panic rising.
You are the most likely to survive.
What?
The offer is for you.
My eyes widen even further. No, I don't want that. I can't be the only one who... No. I turn my eyes to my two companions. The both of them gaze back at me, dejected. There is horrifying resignation in their eyes. This cannot be happening. They should be going, not me. They should be the ones who remain safe.
Nowhere near as sharp as you are. We both always knew that.
Don't give me the whole spiel of like, oh, it was nice being... sharing this journey with you and shit. Like, nah. There's a fragile, self-deprecating smile on his face. It makes my heart ache.
My lantern broke because I foolishly dropped it, and I've already lost my glasses,
I mean,
so...
yeah, Margaret is kind of a klutz. Margaret is the least likely to survive. I shake my head, refusing to watch them give up so easily. I turn to the guide's face one last time, begging him mentally. He's empty and unflinching.
It needs to be done. This is what it means to cross Sinlos.
Then we don't cross Sinlos, we die again. I have already died multiple times, it's fine. I always come back. The heavy words sink into me as I stare towards the void that eagerly awaits the two of us. Decisions. I swallow my objections. No matter how painful it is to come to terms with, we have to be pragmatic. I would have encouraged the decision if another was being spared. I can't say it is wrong now. The guide waits for a breath. When I say nothing, he takes that as compliance and nods. He then simply walks off without even a goodbye to the others.
I'm sorry. I couldn't do anything for you.
Margaret's voice is quivering.
Please, go after the guide.
Pamela gives me a courageous half smile.
We'll find our own way across.
Yeah,
Sure
no,
can't
I
be
don't...
far off after all the walking we've done.
I don't think that's gonna... Pamela, I don't think that's gonna happen. I wipe my face on my sleeve and compose
I will
myself.
wait for you on the shore.
Yeah, no, Dad. They're dead. They're as good as dead now. This goodbye can't go on for much longer. With us all standing still without any light, I burn both their faces into my memory for reasons I don't dare to think about. Then I force my shaky legs to follow after the guide. I follow behind the guide at the edges of his light. I walk listlessly, each step feeling heavier than the last. A complete sense of emptiness overwhelms me. I move along like a puppet on strings, trudging on hollowly as I attempt to understand what I'm even doing with myself, with my life. I harden my face and attempt to purge every thought from my mind except for ones pertaining to the bridges and how to successfully cross them. I have to survive. I must. What they've all sacrificed cannot be for nothing, and I'm still needed. After hours of navigating the complex maze of ridges, the faint light of day creeps into the view. The guide increases his pace, and I cautiously follow suit. The sun continues to rise, as does our speed along with it. The odds decrease with every step we have to take. Our persistence pays off when the silhouette of land appears on the horizon. My heart pounds at the sight. It feels unbelievable. I race across the bridges, desperately trying to keep the guide's slight-edged figure in clear sight. I run as fast as I can possibly manage without slipping on the boards. We run across the entire way, spurred on by the shoreline rapidly approaching. Miraculously, I feel my feet plunge into dirt. The stream is very funny to me. I am working while listening, so I have no clue what is going on, and then suddenly everyone's being abandoned. Oh my gosh. No. I stretched. Anyway. So we're at the land. After a moment of processing everything that just happened and pulling myself together, I rise fully to my feet and stand tall. I turn back towards the lake. Fog drifts across the empty, stagnant waters, as menacing as when I first laid my eyes on it. I can't bear to tear my eyes from the sight. It's as though reality halts as I stare deeply at the surface. I shake away the sensation. I'm alive. I've made it across, and I will able to unite the villagers and remove the brigadiers. But at what cost? My mind turns over itself. Did you get it? Yes. What did it cost? Everything. That's a reference that you'll get later on in life confused. And just remember that you haven't watched that. I can still faintly feel wet, rigid hands on my ankle. A ghostly reminder of the Dixie. I know the hands are not real, but that doesn't loosen their grip. I wait at the edge of the shore, looking out to the vast expanse of the lake. I stand steadfast and unable to be swayed. I refuse to move on until the light of the sun fully covers the land and the bridges disappear underneath the water. I will be here for them until the final moment. I am having a deja vu about this moment. I knew that was coming. I feel that the guide is rather displeased at my continued presence. Despite getting such an impression, however, he still remains close enough for me to reside in his light. The moments tick on, and the night continues to shrink with each passing minute. I perk up when I hear something. It is no whisper under the surface or the rush of wind through the trees. It is the sound of footsteps, I'm sure of it, and they're coming from the lake. My heart begins to pound. Oh my gosh. I shut down the bridge, shout, and wave my hands in an attempt to garner the attention of anyone who is out there, regardless of the dense fog making it impossible to see. It hardly matters, as I hope desperately that whoever is on the bridges finds their way before it's too late. The echoes of footsteps grow louder, and I can't resist the temptation to head out into the unknown to meet with them moments sooner. I step out on the boards once more. My breath remains locked inside as the footsteps draw nearer still. It's only Margaret, and I'm one least likely to survive! The air releases and my eyes start to brim with tears. Margaret is alive. She made it. She draws to a stop nearly and stumbles from halting so quickly. She's grinning and almost laughing in joy. I quickly wipe my damp eyes and smile at her.
So glad to see you.
We rush up the ridges with haste, eager to put his night behind us. But what about my melee? I feel insane whenever it happens. The deja vu or me saying the line. What did it cost you? What did it cost you, right? Everything. Or what did it take? With that, we truly arrive on the shore. As the thrill of the moment dissipates, I have to acknowledge that he's alone. Both. I turn my eyes back out to Sinlos, scanning as much of the air as I can see silently, pleading for a glimpse of a sign. There's a tug at my sleeve. I turn my attentions towards Margaret slowly. Her eyes are drenched with tears and drooping with sorrow. Her lip quivers slightly as she shakes her head, before squeezing her eyes shut to keep too many droplets from escaping. The tears from earlier make their return. They spill over and stream down my face. Pamela is gone. He died out in the darkness. I slowly sink backwards, away from the lake. I don't want to be anywhere near these bridges. I clench my fists together tightly. Margaret follows along as I step back, still tightly gripping my sleeve, as if she never wants to let go. My turmoil abruptly ends at the sound of the guide's voice. You can't stay. There is nothing left for you here. You must return to the world and leave this place behind. Yeah.
I expect to never see you again.
Shut up. Yeah. I'm consumed by a whirlpool of thoughts. I wasn't able to help anyone as I continued to stare at the guide, tears well up in my eyes and threatened to spill over. He gives me no acknowledgement at all. I wiped the feeling from my face completely. I must continue on. I have no other choice before me. On quaking legs, I march forward solemnly into the forest. Oh my god, what's going on, my guy? There we go. Margaret follows behind silently. I have no idea what she's thinking now. What she experienced this night will likely remain forever a mystery to me. Without stopping or turning around, I close my eyes and murmur to myself. It is a sorrowful goodbye to all those lost to the lake who couldn't even say the word themselves.
Farewell.
Yep, okay. during moments of calm when the sun went down, I will remember the lake. Yep, it's the same text, and we never saw Margaret again. And now we know that the guy was named Blue, and we never saw the guide again. Okay. Escape the void and return to light. Dark. Another Steam achievement. Let me look up just real quick how many endings this has, because I feel like it's still gonna take us a bit to get everything. Lake of Voices. How many endings? So no one has like properly written how many are there. Just that there's a lot, because apparently some decisions change completely, like the choices you have. Like I know this from the beginning of the playthrough, but you. Alright, so let's load again. Okay, so I think our only other choice is I will go with someone else. Stay. The guide sucks in the breath, clearly disappointed.
Being without light is dangerous, even if you are close to another. The one who goes with me has no guarantee of making it across. You risk this entire journey being for naught. The correct decisions
Yeah.
Everyone should be aware of them.
But Margaret made it by herself, so she has more chances. She has more chances on her own. I mean, with you, maybe, or maybe I should. No, because you will just. If he makes me choose who goes with him, Bemele would only kick, like, he would only headbutt with him, because he's always trying to like outsmart him in some way. So the best option would be Margaret, and then we both try to survive. But then Bemele probably won't survive. It would just be Kika, and it would be a repeat of the ending all over again. His words cut deep. I have no logical reason to object if... Hold on. I am back. Dogo was getting angsty. Anyway. I have no logical reason to object to going, and my only solution is choosing another for the same position. I bite my lip, my mind madly worrying on the matter for a moment. Then I bow my head. I swallow my object. So I have to go anyway. It doesn't matter what I choose in that one. I can't win. Are you for real? Yes. I won't go, let someone else stay. Yeah, no, it doesn't let me choose. It just... Man! Why is that a choice then? Load. So... we've gone through that path. What if in this one I say perhaps you should take a full dose? Would he actually do it?
He might as well.
Okay. Yeah, no.
I will stay in the middle.
Yep, it's the same as before, and then someone has to die. Yep, nope. Nothing changes. This is before he gets the medicine. This is when I threw the lantern back at him. Then I don't remember which one. This one's my last save then. Should I just go back to the beginning, I wonder? Because apparently from what I read, like, it depends on who you get the closest to, the kind of route you go through. And because I didn't get really, like, I got closer to Bemele, yes. But I put like a certain barrier between us of like, this is just a friendship. And same with Margaret, in a way. Let's try it from here, which is when I put that barrier. And I was like, do nothing. So she didn't feel like a third wheel. Hold on, let me open the door for my doggo. What? Ah. I'm just realizing that the humidity made the wood of on my door like inflate or get like all swollen, and now it's harder to close it. Oop. Camera, stable. There we go. So, okay, last time I did nothing. Let's walk closer to Bemele and see what happens. I allow myself to drift closer to Bemele. There's not too much space between us as we walk side by side. And she will notice. More than pleased. Romance? Probably. I wanted to avoid that, because I don't feel like romancing any of these. But, you know. Apparently that... Apparently that changes the plot. Which is why maybe I have such miserable endings. But if there's romance, wouldn't it be more tragic then? For a brief moment, all of the troublesome circumstances seemed to float away from our minds, and we enjoy each other's company. I wish it'd go on for so much longer, but it's only a while later that I have to speak up.
We really should rest
we need to
nightfall.
Go back. But by the face Margaret made, she noticed. It's already really tragic. Can't get more tragic. Oh, Oh, confused. You have no idea. I walk over and make myself comfortable next to him, though not as comfortable as he has made himself. And now I sit next to him all the time. With a teasing roll of her eyes, Margaret joins us, making a show of smoothing his skirt as she... Yeah, see? The three of us quietly wait for the guide's arrival, occasionally chatting with one another as we rest. And then he comes back, and the prowlers are a thing. All of that. Now I have to wait. She screamed because something attacked her, and now her lantern is lost. Let's save this point again. Since I've already gone through this route, I can save it here. Although now that I think about it, sometimes doing nothing is also an option. Okay, so if I load, I think if I say watch, is the same outcome? Yes. Yep. Okay, so instead of watch, because I know that gets him injured, I want to see if there's any change to the ending or the choices if I throw the lantern. So I help him. It was an acceptable decision. Now. Okay. And now what? I do nothing. And that way we all survive. Because if I pull him back, I die. And then... Yeah, no, it's the same ending. So it doesn't matter whether I decide to get closer to Mameli or not, it seems. Like, closer still, at least. Load. If I just watch, will we get the same outcome then? Now. Because I'm pretty sure that if she doesn't throw the thing, we're gonna die. I'm gonna die anyway. Sorry. Yeah, no, it's the same thing. It seems.
I don't want to stay here.
Say nothing. She dies. Yeah, it's the same ending. So let's load then. Then this decision did really not a whole lot for us. Only changed some dialogue, apparently. Now what about this one? Yes. Still, when I said then I will continue to support you, he answered favorably. So what if I say still it is not necessary? He waves his hand.
Mind, even if that is the case.
We were like opening up our feelings to each other.
I will come to answer these questions someday.
Can I skip now? Okay, yeah. So we're back. Yeah, there was that noise of like a choice being made in that moment. I guess that's what said which path I was gonna be on. Yeah. So by getting closer to Mameli, I basically chose my fate. Apparently. No shipping. Not shipping on this one. Like, Mameli's great, but I don't know. Like, it would make sense for him and Kika to be together, but I don't know. So I need to load again. And then choose who I'm going with. This time around, it seems. Because I either... Oh, I have time. So, I already saw with Mameli, we know what happened. I'm going to speak with the guide, or I need to be alone. I'm going to speak with the guide. I ball my hands into fists, still my will, and start advancing in the direction the guide went. So yeah, Margaret, I like her, but I don't see anything between her and Kika really. I could see maybe something that could be developed between her and Bimeli, but at the same time it's like it's more, I would rather them stay friends in any case. They have good banter with each other. And we don't know Lou, I just let him to die, so and the guy, like the guy doesn't make any relationships with us. So, you know, whatever. Well, of course, these things can get more tragic. Just don't see it for this story. It really feels a bit rigid. There aren't that many unique options for tragedy. Just light goes out, the bridge breaks. It's not about the way they die. It's about the relationships, the bonds you form. Like when I accidentally killed Bimeli the first time, I felt it. He's not my romanceable character, but I felt it. I was like, oh no. And so I remember saying, I would rather Margaret die. Like, I'm sorry, Margaret, I like you, but I would rather her die than Bimeli, because I had already grown attached to Bimeli. So, you know. But maybe they're not very romance-like routes. And I say this just because it seems like that was Bimeli's route, and nothing happened. Like between them, he just died. So, in some and in others he survived. But at the same time, at the end of the day, they grew like apart. They didn't have as much of a close relationship anymore after everything that happened. So I don't see where is the good ending in that. Because if I leave them behind, both of them, only Margaret survives. And if I have to choose, then we grow apart. So what's the point in Bimeli surviving? And as far as I tried until now, nothing really changed. Like, those are the only two outcomes, it seems, for the for him at least. I guess I need to watch the favorite trope stream, but what type of ending do you like the most? Personally, I like bittersweet, like how you always leave someone here. Oh, it really depends on how the story is done, because sometimes, like, I used to be a huge sucker for angst, but then I had enough suffering in my life and I was like, you know what? I don't like angst as much as I thought I do. Unless it gets like a happy ending. I think I like my stories in... Because okay. And I'm about to go on a rant. There are stories that have really good angst that makes your heart literally hurt. I've had so many fanfictions do this to me. It's all fun and games until it becomes reality. Yeah, exactly. So it like, I've had fanfics that because I mostly read about ships that I like. I don't really read just stories for the sake of it when it comes to fanfiction. If I read books, then yeah, I'm not reading for the shipping, I'm reading for the story. And I actually rarely ship people in books, now that I think about it. It's only in media and fanfiction for some reason. Anyway, so I've had fics that have like that had literally put me to tears because of how sad they end. And so I was like, you know what? I'm here to have a good time, escape reality. I don't really... I want them to be happy. I'm not really looking for pain because I already have that in the canon, you know? Like... And so I mostly... when it comes to like general story, not like very specific tropes, because if you watch the trope tier list stream, you will know what I tend to read most of the time. But when it comes to like a general story, I like it when it's like it start like for example, a trope, arranged marriage, and they are very iffy with each other at first because they don't know each other, or maybe just one of them is interested because they knew about the other person beforehand, but the other person doesn't know them at all. So there's a little bit of tension between them because one wants to get closer, but the other is like, I don't know, man, I really don't know you, and you kind of weird me out sometimes, and all of that. And there's like angst because the other person is like, oh, they will never return my feelings, but I want to do everything right by them, and the other one is like, am I the asshole? And things like that. And then eventually, like, they start developing, like, one of them like gives each other like a chance, and then they start developing something. It's kind of a slow burn, but not necessarily. And they start to get to know each other, and it's great, and life is amazing. And just when they're like, things seem to look up and they're starting to like be more open with each other, something happens, and then tragedy strikes, and then everything is chaos and pain and suffering. But at the end of that arduous journey, things turn out alright. Maybe someone lost an eye, maybe someone lost a limb, or maybe they didn't lose anything at all. It was just a scare and they stayed in the coma for a very long period of time. But in the end, they're together and they're happy. That is the kind of story that, like, the kind of like storyline that I usually like. I'm just putting a very specific example with arranged marriage because that's usually how it goes. But like, that's the usual vibe that I like reading when it comes to fanfiction, at least. And stories, like, oh yeah, I have this attachment to this character, like I slowly grow up with them in a way, whether it's emotionally, physically, or whatever, and they are my precious child, and I love them and I cherish them and I want all good things for them. And then, oh no, my poor child is suffering. Why is life like this? Why is everything, why are we here just to suffer? All of that, and then at the end everything turns out alright. But most of the times in canon that doesn't happen, my character just dies. So you know. I like tragic characters, what can I say? I am a walking what's the name of that? I forgot the word. It's like when something doesn't match. I don't even remember the word in Spanish. I just went bilingual. Sometimes the author is wrong, yeah. Sometimes the author is wrong. But yeah, that's a general vibe that I like. And I've read recently-ish a couple of fanfics that have done that, like where everything is fun and games and fluffy and beautiful, and then things happen, very horrible things happen, and my heart is a mess because I literally feel the pain in it when everyone is suffering, and I'm like, oh my god, why? This was supposed to be my comfort reading. But then at the end everything turns out alright, and I'm like, okay, it's fine. I've recovered. Not really. This will forever haunt me, but I've recovered somehow. So yeah. So that's why these endings, like this one is kind of the same-ish. But what I don't like about Bimele's quote-unquote good ending, if that's really it and I'm not missing anything from his route, is that they end up growing apart anyway. There's no that closeness anymore. And I don't like that, because then why? I know the point is for him to live. I was supposed to save everyone, but I couldn't save Margaret. But then why? Why am I saving him if he's just gonna be like, oh, you know, I'm a forever changed man, I'm scarred, I'm never gonna be the same again, and then just not talk as often anymore with me. Like, it wasn't my fault that Margaret died. I don't think he blames me, but still, you know, like, what? Anyway, let us continue with the story. Oh wait, I also... Open endings? I hate open endings. I need to know exactly what happened. Not your, oh, and they live happily ever after, but like, oh, like for example, how at the end of this they tell you, hey, you know, she helped the people with the brigadiers and now they're no longer an issue. And she's still haunted by what happened at Sinlos, but you know, she helped these people and now she's gonna tell the others like, hey, never cross Sinlos because this happens. And that's the end of her story. Good for her. That tells me what happened with Kika afterwards. But I don't know what happens to Margaret. She just goes away and she never explains why she needed to cross Sinlos to begin with. And that's an open ending and I don't like that. I need to know what happened to Margaret. Confused, you ask why when I am a lore digger. I am searching for answers. I need to know. I'm a control freak. I need to know what happens. This is why I have anxiety. Because I'm like, I need to plan everything to the T. And when things don't go as planned, which is most of the time, then everything spirals down into chaos because I don't know what's gonna happen. I love it when it ends just slightly open. It leaves so much room for interpretation. Then you can make the lore yourself. What do you think I'm doing? I don't like unless, like for example with my tragic ships and all of that, where, oh no, they died and now everything is pain. Then I am willing to like, you know what? No, I reject this canon. I will write the canon myself in my head and then imagine what life would have been if the character didn't die. Sure, because I already know what happened to them and I refuse to believe that is the truth. But when the story just ends and doesn't tell me, hey, this was the resolution to this, you know, this character just, you know, I don't know, like with Kika, she went on with life and helped the people she needed to help, but her trip in Sinlos still haunted her. Whatever. I lost my train of thought. I was gonna make a joke of like, this is what ADHD looks like, but I don't really know if I have ADHD, so I can't say that. I've never went to take a test or whatever to get like diagnosed. What was I saying? I had a point. So yeah, I need to know what happens. I don't like making the lore myself in my head. Like if they leave the ending like open. If like for example, oh, this is how the story ends, I explain to you what happened to the character afterwards, then yeah, sure. I can imagine like, oh, maybe after that they went to this place or this other place, but I don't need to necessarily imagine that because I already know at the end of the story like sort of what happened to them. If something else happens down the line, then that's up to me, like my imagination, or maybe the author if they want to make a sequel and hope it's not bad. But if they don't tell me, they just like, oh yeah, you make the rest out yourself, then I'm like, but I need to know why. Why do you think I looked up so many analyses for Evangelion back when I like watched the movies? Because I didn't understand anything, and then I was like, oh, okay, no, that makes sense. And then I rewatched the main thing and then rewatched the movies, and then I was like, oh yeah, okay, that makes a lot more sense. Now I have an inkling of what happened, but that story is very vague in itself, so it's more like up to interpretation for everyone. It's good to leave some things out to interpretation for people, but not everything. I sound like a crazy person, but I just don't like open endings. I need to know how it ends. ADHD is weird. Yeah, I don't get it either. I assume that mayhaps I have it, or some of it, or maybe I'm just crazy and I don't have it. But more like based on what people that have ADHD have told me. It kind of looks like maybe, but I'm not sure. That's what I love about Evangelion. Open in what means for you. Like, yeah, but Like, for example, at the beginning I was like, oh, but then what happened to the Avas? And then with time, I realized that the Avas don't really matter. Like, there is no proper lore there technically. Like, technically as in, like, when you think about it as an anime of mechas, that doesn't really matter. What matters is the other story, which is the whole psychological thing, and that's where the lore, like the Evangelions, the Avas become like lore relevant in a way. But other than that, like, all the other things don't really matter, and there are things that the guy just put because he said, hey, that's cool, I want to add it in, which I do too sometimes when I read stories, so you know. But but I had to look up so many analyses to get like a proper hang of it. Like, okay, I understand now that these things matter and these things probably don't. And then I have to make up the meaning for myself. But now I have like a general idea of these things that I didn't understand at first, of like what they're supposed to mean. So now I can make my own interpretation of what the story is, and I like it regardless of that. But you know, now I have like a more solid base on what the story is supposedly. So that's like the only instance where the openness of it doesn't bother me as much, because I already have like a solid idea. But when it's like Kimi no Nawa, or better known as Your Name, where it's just like it ends with them just asking, oh, like them meeting again and oh, what is your name? And you don't tell me if they either got back together or if the interaction just ended there or what, then I'm gonna get out of the cinema pissed. Because I'm like, why did I just spend like almost 2 hours watching this if you're not gonna tell me? You know what I mean? I've completely lost track of the game. I just ramble now about how much I hate open endings. Anyway, I think you may have ADHD. You sound just like me, and I have had multiple ADHD people tell me I should get tested because I was. Oh, it's back. It's back. It's coming back. It's yellow now. It's green now. Hello? Okay. Like, it just went completely, like, it went zero, nothing, not even, like, no signal for a moment there, and I'm like, what happened? Anyway, I was saying before the thing just went away, I don't know, oh, it says good, it doesn't say very good. Yikes. I don't know what's happening with the frames right now. I don't think it's OBS. Maybe it has to do with... I don't know. Anyway, to finish this conversation about open endings and ADHD, I've only been told once by a doctor who also just happens to be my friend. He's a neurologist. I met him in theater. They're being stolen. Like when I steal your kneecaps, OBS is stealing my frames. I only got told by him jokingly once, oh, that just sounds like ADHD, when I was telling him about all the things that I do and how whenever I finish one and I'm like, okay, now I have time to rest, I just end up picking up something else. He just laughed and went, oh, that sounds like ADHD. And I was like, okay, sure. But I've never gone to get like a test or anything, so who knows. I need to ask people around if they know where I can do it, because I don't know where I can get a test for that or anything. And would my life change really? I feel like I would just still be as deranged as ever. I would just know now why. I don't plan on taking any meds if I do, honestly. I don't like taking meds in general. I don't know why. Anyway, we need so many just chatting streams. Yeah, indeed. It's just this game is very prone to have us just get derailed from the story. Yeah, you can figure out your own open ending. No! I refuse. I need to plan everything to the T. Man, But we'll talk more about that later. I actually wanted to ask you guys if you would be good. Whoop. Even my model has like something because it freaks out whenever it likes. I was gonna ask you guys if you like, because I was planning originally to stream this yesterday, but at the end I didn't have the time to actually stream yesterday. I wanted to do a just chatting stream on Thursday. But if I do that, because I can't stream on Fridays, because of reasons that I can't tell you yet, because I can't stream on Fridays, I would either have to push back the just chatting stream to next week in order to like do 2 Omori streams as I promised last week, or do the just chatting stream and push back Omori. If we manage to finish if we manage to finish this today, maybe I can do like a full Omori week next week, so we can have the just chatting this week. Can't tell us yet. Write that down. I won't be able to tell you for a while, so if you can remember that, you know. Anyway, so yeah, for a very long time I probably won't be able to stream on Fridays. So that's why I'm only doing it from like Tuesday to Thursday, because usually I can't stream on Mondays either, but that's because of other activities I have. So we can do one of 2 things. I either do Omori on Thursday as well and leave the just chatting stream for next week, or we do a just chatting stream for like this week, this Thursday, and then I make next week a full Omori week. Whichever you prefer, which would be like 3 days instead of 2. Maybe 4 if I can stream on Monday, who knows. I wouldn't mind Omori being next week. I will be completely free then and can even catch midnight streams. Okay, cool. But ask the server to... Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm going to put up the question as well in the server. Because I didn't want to push back the just chatting because there's a lot I want to talk about now, but I was also like, oh, but I promised them, so I'm gonna ask on the server as well. But I just wanted to like get a consensus of the 3 people I have here right now as to what they prefer as well. But anyway, let us get back into the story and end this conversation about ADHD and stuff. I ball my hands into fists, still my will, and start advancing in the direction the guide went. I push my way through the branches and reach the other shore of the island. I look for the guide, but he is nowhere in sight. How? Where could he have gone? I search the area further without success. The island is not in any way large. If I have not found him, it can only be because he does not wish to be found. I sigh as all motivation leaves me. I think I simply need to be alone. So did my choice matter then? Alone, suffered in silence. Ooh. It seems as though my wish to be alone will be granted. There's no sign that they will be returning. A cold chill somehow whips its way down my back, despite the calm of the air. Friday is just another hobby, isn't it? You're just embarrassed you fell into a time-consuming trap again. Sure, yeah, totally. Oh no, how could it be? I fell into yet another hobby. Oh my god. Someone save me, help. Oh no. Hayasaka lied as naturally as she breathed. Anyway, I keep my gaze on the dark ground, taking a breath so deep it stings the back of my throat. As I steadily empty my lungs, I try to empty my mind of all thoughts. I do not know what I'm doing anymore. Nothing is straightforward. I find something familiar and powerful in my thoughts and latch on. The mission. I have to try and focus on the mission. I need to be strong. My eyes are back up. Is someone watching? I wonder if I'm afraid of being seen struggling like this. Or if I hope I may not be on my own. Here. It doesn't matter. There's still nothing but the silent island. Time seems so indefinite around me, passing slowly. On this island, it almost seems to move slow as a stagnant pond. I shake my head, burying the thought. It's irrational, but I cannot bear to think of even old pond water. Gradually, my consciousness begins to include the world again. I do a few standard warm-up stretches, testing my mind and body. I don't know how long it's been, but I feel like I have regained enough of my wits to continue on. That wink was weird. I thought you were having a stroke. No, I wasn't. I was just, you know, if I click in the game, it's gonna look weird, but... Or... You know. Anyway. I need to make sure everything's alright. I head through the wooded part of the island. There isn't anything that could be called a path, but I imagine to pick my way through the bush quite well. But I manage, okay. Through a thinner stand of trees, I briefly catch sight of the guide standing on one of the beaches. He seems fine, but even though I'm sure he's turned his head toward me, he makes no show of acknowledging me. I continue my check without heeding that. After moving on, I find Bumele in a jagged clearing, leaning against a tree. He's already noticed me and is looking my way, smiling. As I get closer, I can pick up the sadness behind his jovial expression.
How are you faring? Any problems?
Just, you know, bottling everything in.
Fine. I came to check on you.
How kind. I've calmed down since then.
Alright.
I'm glad to hear that. Is there any way I can help or anything you'd like to say?
He raises an eyebrow at that, his grin becoming markedly playful.
I didn't expect to see you so worried about me, Kika.
Of course. Have to force myself not to avert my eyes at that comment, embarrassment flowing into me. Bumele notices my reaction. He does not draw attention to it, however. Instead, he throws his arms out wide with a sour expression.
Have you seen the guide?
Bumele is clearly asking out of a sense of obligation and makes no secret that he's not pleased to be discussing the guide. I nod in response.
I saw him earlier. He is the same as always.
Good. In that case, I'm going to stretch my legs for a bit. I feel stiff from standing in one place for so long.
Now that I think about it, he's always touching his shoulder. I wonder why. I bid him a brief goodbye. Bumele waves as he departs. When I step into another clearing, I notice Margaret sitting quietly at the base of a tree. No, don't steal the frames again! It says no lost frames. I think that's your internet now. When I step into Margaret. Margaret begrudgingly lifts her head as I approach, enabling me to see that her face is damp and tear-stained. While her eyes are red and puffy, she's been crying. I shift uncomfortably on my feet.
Has something happened?
Everything is fine. I came to check on you.
The shoulder is anxiety. I do the same when I feel uncomfortable talking. Really?
Well, that's nice.
I think I just fidget with my hands and that's pretty much it. I don't really touch, like, any parts of my body when I have anxiety. Like, it's just like I have my hands at my sides and then my fingers just start to, like, dig into my palms. It's like an unconscious reaction that sometimes I, like, catch and I'm like, oh, I'm anxious. She speaks somewhat curtly, but at least she no longer seems as depressed.
I'm happy to report that everything's in order on this front.
She said the same thing back when
glad
we visited her with Bumele. Of course, I cannot fully believe that. Margaret isn't saying what's actually on her mind, but I have no way to truly reach her.
Is that everything?
I suppose it is.
My words come out slowly and hesitantly, as though she might change her mind if I bide my time. I want to do more, but I cannot think of what else I can do for her.
Then goodbye.
If you need anything, I will be close by.
Yes, thank you. I'm sure I'll see you soon.
Her response is sincere. It is enough to ease some of the worry. I smile, though weakly. With nothing else to say, I take my leave. I find that I've been pacing back and forth for quite some time. I finished my check a while ago, so I've got nothing left to do but aimlessly wander. I'm overcome with restlessness. This island may be safer than the bridges, but that is far from enough to ease the mind. I quietly sigh and decide to wait on my own. If I go back now, whoever I encounter will know that I don't want to be alone. That is more troubling than simply staying where I am. I sit down and silently listen to the ambience of the island as I wait for time to pass. I can only hope this will all end before I can no longer keep myself together. The sun begins to descend in the sky and the light starts to fade into the fog. I feel relief that it is almost time to leave this island. A chill slips down my spine at the thought of what comes next, however. Amelia and Margaret soon arrive. Upon seeing me, she tries her best to greet me, though it's clear she's not doing well. Amelia gives me a half smile as he waves.
Hello, Kika.
Hello there.
I wave back at them and walk over. I'm glad they are here. I don't want to be alone any longer.
Hello.
The atmosphere grows tense as the quiet stretches on. Margaret shifts around, but Molly seems torn between saying something and keeping the silence. Before too long, the guide arrives. His presence snuffs out all chance of conversing definitively. I can't read! I often grab my own shoulder, neck. I can't put actual force in that without hurting myself, like with frail wrists. Hold on, let me just stretch. Oh, something popped. I think it was my elbow. That's fine. Okay. There we go. I keep my focus on setting my breathing, bracing myself for what's ahead. All of us wait in uncomfortable silence until night falls. We silently stand as one, forming a vigil of sorts. Our remaining lanterns illuminate the dark, prepare for tonight's journey. And yet, the way forward does not appear. Oh yeah, so the bridges take a while to appear. I remember now. Is the plan still the same, I wonder? It seems like it. Yeah, she lost her lamp. Throw the lantern. Now. Seems like everything else is the same. I'm gonna scream. Cannot be. Cannot be. Right? Because I technically formed no relationship with anyone, so... You know.
Being without light is dangerous.
Yeah, they just die. Well, Margaret doesn't die. She survives, I guess. Yeah, nope. Seems like it's the same thing no matter what I choose in this. Should I just go back to the beginning then? Because this is the melee route, technically. If I decide to stay by myself at the island... I can see why you steal kneecaps. They are replacements for when you pop your own. Which happens like daily. Because I have no exercise. I do no exercise. Okay, let's try. If I say I need to be alone. Yep. It's the same dialogue, and then we see him, we make our rounds, we see Margaret, and we probably also saw the guide. And they're back, we can't talk. It's just less wholesome, I guess, because we get some moments of reprieve when we become like close friends together. But I'm guessing then that the decisions that really affect where the story is going are the ones that appear right at the beginning, because then from this point onwards everything is the same all the time. So hold on, let me just skip ahead. Interesting. Let the guide have his medicine and then say nothing. Bum, bum, bum. Say nothing. And then she dies. And the prowler, then we get back. Yep. Yeah, so we need to go all the way back to the beginning, it would seem like. Or at least to these points where like it's early on in the route. Point number 1. What if I go to the main menu? Yes. Because this is my first save, but I don't remember. Yeah, certain choices are timed. Time is running out of something, completely avoid. In some cases, not getting involved can open new possibilities. Other choices aren't timed. These options only determine whether Kika has any special affection for another character or not. If you survive until the second night, the story will branch. Oh, so I can die during the first night. Okay. The story will branch into one of 5 different plot lines based on your earlier decisions. So it's probably that. The other characters cannot manage all situations in the various plot lines, regardless of what you do. If a character isn't making it, try getting that plot with a different set of survivors of having this instead of organizing group characters venture through some other storyline. Becoming closer to someone can add or remove future choice options and change how some scenes play out. Your decisions to build that connection may not go unnoticed by other characters. Earning that full amount of affection with certain characters can require getting into specific plot lines. Okay. So it has to do with like the first half before reaching the island. Good to know. So then can I probably then get like the same endings with Bemeli, but it's more tragic because we form some sort of relationship there? Or something? I don't know. Okay, let's go. We've already been through the beginning, which is when we were talking about sin loss and what the lake is, and now this is where we meet Margaret and we butt heads. And we're like, we need to cross as well, and the guy isn't here yet. Oh my god, whatever shall we do? I'm sure you are forgiven, Bemeli. This is the same thing I said last time. Now, this is this one. So now I wanna try to like overwrite my save files here, just because these decisions I've made already. So I want to see what happens. Like, I know I already chose that.
I know you. You are brash,
but I don't remember if there were any other choices where I favored him. Maybe? I believe we should go.
And I believe you.
This is how we get into the adventure, I guess. But these are the same choices I did last time, so last time I nodded seriously. I didn't place my hand over whatever he said. What's the history say? Don't forget it's there. Don't let your guard down. That he doesn't give a damn what you end up doing. Some part of me is glad for that. I want to help everyone make it through, and it would be worse to have to persuade the guide every time he's help was necessary. So I did something for him. Oh yeah, about the prowler and all of that. You're right. Okay. Yep. And then he's like, thank you, because I'm considering him, because we're watching the prowler. Okay, place my hand over this. I feel Bemeli start as I reciprocate his touch, but just as quickly a smile replaces his shock. The moment is pleasant, a small balm against a large burn. I harden my expression and Bemeli follows suit. Fully link his arm with mine and now properly. Okay, so now we're linked. And we're taking care of the Prowler. And then when the other one appears... yeah, the fire goes out. Wait, kick it up? Yeah, okay, I remember this. So I can die in either of those 2 points now that I think about it. Interesting. The current format has worked
So you're
so far.
staying behind?
Seems like it.
Yep. I remember this arrangement. I just want to see... What if I turn? Oh, okay, I forgot about that. Okay, no, wait, hold on. I left Margaret behind on accident. I forgot that I didn't have to do anything there. Shoot. If I load this one then. Yes. I'm sure you are forgiven.
I know you.
I was asked to look something up by a friend. I forgot because I got distracted. It has been an hour. I believe we should go.
I believe you.
And then that's when the guide offers us like that we can go, but one of them will die. Like only 2 of us will survive. Which is a lie because there are points where... Oh shoot, I forgot. Dang it. I need to save at those points as well. I got distracted. Sure you're forgiven. I just want to see what changes. After this, I'm going to the beginning and I'm like staying silent on whether we should go onto the ship or not, or like if we should go with the guide or not, despite the fact that Margaret is already going. It's so weird to see Margaret with her glasses now because I'm so used to her not having them. Okay. Pull the melody forward. Kick it off. And then... when the sharp turn comes... the current format has worked so far.
So you're staying behind?
And then we do nothing here. Like we follow Margaret and then we help her get across. Point towards the guy. I don't remember this one actually. Do I have that? Yeah, I have that decision here. Okay. So point towards the guy then. Yep, that was it. He gently runs the thumb over the tip of my hand before he releases it. There's a clear sense of affection to it. Yeah, so like
We need to run.
like the relationship starts like forming here in simple gestures. This is where we find Lou, and I decide that I leave him behind because of course I do. Because like I can manage more than 2 other people aside from myself. Put a hand to stop him. I don't remember this. I can't risk it. Yep, okay. That was the right choice. And we leave Lou behind. Though Mameli constantly looks to want to reach out towards my empty hand, always thinking better of it before doing so. I keep thinking I should have done more. Okay. Then more prowlers. We burn the bridge. And then we make it to the island. With a sigh, he leans his head to the side, having his dress slightly against me. Usually Bemeli's comfort and good nature gives me at least the urge to smile, but right now it feels like a hollow victory. Okay, we've seen this. So this is like a more romantic approach, I guess, to everything. So if I go to Bemeli, something has to change because we open up and we get closer. and I will continue to support you. And he blushes. Okay. Okay. This is a choice that I didn't. This is a new choice. I don't know what to save. What day is it today? I'm gonna save it over this one. I've already burned all my save files at this point.
Of course. That's our first priority.
Hold on. Load. What was the option? What was the history? Hold on. I don't know what he said that I implied that made me get this decision. Womp. Hold on. Here we go. I believe I've spent quite enough time resting. If I'm being honest, I think I need a break from all the waiting around. We'll do that then. Okay. So now we load. Yes. And the question is, I'd like to invite Margaret after we speak to Margaret. After we speak to Margaret.
Of course.
Okay.
That's our first.
Thank you, Bemele.
I'm happy to.
There's no way I'm leaving Margaret all alone here for longer. Okay, yeah. She needs someone to talk to. And we look for her.
Is something the matter?
I take it the guards are doing their rounds.
We've already seen this conversation. I don't know
Seems
why
we
it's
are.
not letting me skip.
I'm happy to.
Good to hear.
Is that everything?
Yeah, and she's
We
like,
can leave you for now if that's what you'd like. Wouldn't want to be a nuisance.
That would be most appreciated. I'd like to have a little time
okay,
to
so in
myself
this,
before we return back.
okay, because we favored Bemele more. She's not as inclined to get along with us as she was before.
Thank you for that and for stopping by.
Be well.
Goodbye.
Interesting. Two of us leave Margaret as per her request. I swallow deeply as we go. I can only hope that Margaret will be able to sort through her thoughts before it's too late. Ah.
So, would you still be interested in our little stroll?
Yes. That would be nice.
Interesting. Okay, so it's not the three of us anymore. It's just you stole her boyfriend. He would have never been her boyfriend. Have you seen how they banter with each other? Or maybe they could have, but Bemele beams at me.
We best be heading out then.
I think don't quote me on this because I'm not sure, but I think actually Margaret is also like a romantic route. Reach the edge of the shore, meets the forest, and trek along it. What is this music? Bemele makes a small talk on just about anything and everything. It reminds me of our journey before we reached the lake. The more I dwell on it, though, the more I realize how drastically things have changed in a matter of days. Bemele's discourse forms a mirror from one time to another in my mind, casting all that has changed in glaring silver. He swings our hands back and forth lightly as he continues to lead the conversation, trying not to let me become too absorbed in my troubled musings. After winding our way around our large stretch of the island, a massively overgrown tree intersects our path. I move to push off the offending branches out of the way, but Bemele stops me.
Please, let me have this.
Oh my god, what a gentleman, of course. Of course, and now he's trying to show off. And chops the branches down with a single blow. He releases a hearty laugh and I grin at him, the sheer audacity of the action enabling me to ignore his sword misuse.
It's been far too long since I've taken it out. At this rate, I'll forget how to even use a sword before we arrive.
Apparently you already did.
I see.
I have a sword? Like, I know they don't work against prowlers, but why have we not used it? I unsheathed my own sword and leveled the whole edge at him.
Would you be up for a bout of sparring?
He doesn't miss a beat.
I'll accept that.
I step into the sand to give us a little space and Bemele eagerly trails behind me. New CG, of course. Oh, this is gonna be all the more tragic when he dies. Once we find our footings, Bemeli assumes a defensive stance. Center turned away from me and sword drawn in front of his body. I do the same as I circle him swiftly, being sure to stay just out of his striking distance, as I watch for the slightest tell of an opening. Whenever he attempts to put some space between us, I dart in towards his back, forcing him to stay mostly in place to defend. It takes 3 sharp jabs before what I was hoping for happens. As he turns to face me, one of his feet lands slightly out of place in the loose sand, and I take my opening, striking immediately. Bemeli regains his balance just before I make a contact though, parrying and using his heavier frame to force me back a few steps even as I jump out of the sword lock. Hoping to catch me off balance from his push, he strikes, but I weave out of the way. Bemeli has more strength and a larger striking distance than I do, so I've learned to capitalize on my higher agility and smaller hit zone when facing him, even if I usually prefer a more grounded strategy. We trade blows, neither of us ever scoring a hit, but both keeping each other on edge. For a little while, time flows past us easily, and there is nothing that matters but avoiding an attack that will never be lethal, greeting us our still clashes. Noticing my labored breathing, I call off the fight.
Stop. We can't exert all our energy here.
I wonder if people actually think about actions that are so weird as showing off that it just happens so naturally. It really depends, I think. When you think about doing that, you realize it is stupid before going through with it, right? Maybe. I mean, it really depends on the person, I feel like, because there are people that are like, oh no, surely by doing this I will attract their attention, because they will think, oh my goodness, what a display of, what is the word, gentlemanry? I don't know if that's a word, probably not. But like, oh my goodness, what a gentleman, how strong. Just like how animals like show their colors and their strength and stuff to each other when they're trying to look for a mate. It's kind of, we work on kind of the same principles, just with more conscious. But sometimes people don't know how to flirt, and sometimes it can work on certain people, but with others it doesn't. I think people who think that never read a book or played a game with romance in it. There are people who have and then just try to see if it works. I recently heard about someone trying to flirt with a girl once, based on a movie where I don't know which movie it is, but apparently the main character tries to give like the female love interest a bouquet of carrots instead of flowers. And because he wanted to be cool and different, but he didn't have a bouquet of carrots, he used cilantro and I think peppers for the bouquet. And of course the girl never talked to him again, because I'm pretty sure she never got the reference. But if you watch the movie and he tells you like, hey, I didn't have carrots, but here are these, then it would be like, okay, it's kind of dumb, but it's sweet because I get the intention, right? But of course a normal person would like that hasn't like watched that or doesn't get the context is gonna be like, what is wrong with you? So it really, like, human interactions are hard precisely because you don't live in each other's heads, and you don't know what the other is thinking exactly. And sometimes things that you're like, oh, of course this would work, usually backfire because the other person doesn't see it the way you see it, and that's why arguments happen and all of that. So I look at Bemeli and I'm like, this is stupid. We are both knights. Of course I could have taken, like, or I as the protagonist, but instead of me it's just Kika. Kika could have taken care of it because she's a knight. She has the force. Just look at them. They were sparring just a moment ago and none of them like won because they both have like very good skill set. But he's trying to be like, you know, gentlemanly, and it comes out as ridiculous because of course it is, when it comes to a woman like Kika, but for a normal person, maybe it would have been like a nice gesture of like, no, please allow me. I don't want you to, I don't know, scratch your hands or something accidentally by moving this. Just like how it is nice for some people when a man opens the door for you to get in first. It is an act of kindness, but I also know people who see that and are like, oh, so you think I can't do it? I have a friend who thinks like that, and doesn't like it when like men are gentlemanly towards her because she sees it as them looking at her as someone weak. When I think of it as like, oh, you know, they're trying to be thoughtful. That's nice. I went on another rant. Why are you doing this to me? But yeah, it really depends. It really depends. Humans are weird. Interactions are hard. But Melly releases a windy chuckle. Yeah, it's just being nice. Again, we see it like that because that's also how we've been educated, right? But my friend, for some reason, sees it as like you're looking at her as someone weak if you do that, especially if you're a man doing it. Like, I can do it and she will be like annoyed by it, but she will let it slide probably. But if a man does it, then it's like, oh, a whole other issue, and that's of course because of her own ideals and experiences in life. Whether I see it as like, oh, it's just someone trying to be nice. Like my dad does it for me all the time as well. Whenever we open doors and something, he tries to open it by himself. Like he opens the door and lets me through first, because that's just a nice gesture that he has all the time with my mom, with me, with his sisters, you know, any other woman in his life. So yeah, it really depends on each person and their experiences and how they were raised as well. Everything, a lot of factors really play into how we perceive the world. Just don't go outside. Exactly. This is why I don't interact with people often. I just stay in my house. Amelie releases a winded chuckle.
Thank God there's at least one of us responsible enough to point that out.
Yep. I smile and return my sword to its scabbard. Amelie does likewise and glances over at me.
Would it perhaps be alright to at least finish our stroll before sitting back down again?
I mean,
we shouldn't go the entire length of the island.
Yeah.
But I suppose we can walk just a little longer.
I'm starved for just chatting. It has been weeks. That's why I'm tricking you into side tangents.
It's a deal.
Okay, so we can either walk closer to Amelie again or do nothing. I'm pretty sure at this point this won't change much. But since we're already down the path of like being closer to Amelie, then what the heck? I allow myself to drift closer to Amelie. There's not too much space between us as we walk side by side. Amelie views me from the corner of his eye and looks more than pleased. For a brief moment, all of the troublesome comfort, hearts were eased with someone special. New Steam achievement! For a brief moment, all of the troublesome circumstances seemed to float away from our minds, and we enjoyed each other's company. I wish it could go on for so much longer, but it's only a while later that I have to speak up.
We really should rest before night.
Okay, yeah, this is dialogue. This is dialogue that we've seen before. They mentioned we were going to meet. He lowers himself down to the ground, presumably intending to wait until the guide arrives. It's a little more dramatic. I walk over and make myself comfortable next to him, though not as comfortable as he has made himself. It isn't very long until Margaret appears. She doesn't comment on her resting positions, however she's clearly smirking about it.
Are you still holding up fine?
I would rather speak of anything other than that.
I think we can manage that.
Sure. The three of us quietly wait for the guide's arrival, occasionally chatting with one another as we rest. And then the guide arrives. And everything happens again. But it's probably gonna be more tragic if he dies now. Because everything else plays the same. I just wanted to see exactly like those different little things. Hold on, let me just save. Here. Yes. Okay, let me just skip. Then Margaret throws the thing. Throw the lantern. I wonder if there is some dialogue change if I die. Because now Bemeli is closer to me, so it would be even more dramatic if I die. Let the guide have his medicine. Say nothing. Then there's a narrow path. Bemeli go without us. Nope, he just dies. She just gets closer to him, I guess, and then it's more tragic. Man. So nothing changes, really. Just the interactions before that. Now what happens if I ask that, I want to invite Margaret? Oh yeah, so he, like, doesn't like the idea that I want to invite Margaret. Uh-huh.
Of course, of course.
Yeah, and he's disappointed, and everything goes the same, I presume. And now we're walking together again. Okay. Interesting. So it's very easy to go down the other path again as well. Okay. Now we go back to this. Yes. And then I say nothing. I don't want to go lean towards Margaret's side just yet. We each remain locked inside our own thoughts, not another word passing between us. Eventually a small light appears on the bridge ahead, gently swaying through the foggy air. It gets closer and closer until it becomes apparent it's a figure carrying a lantern. It's the guide. So he introduces himself.
An extra day or two shouldn't be that much of a problem for you.
Yeah, and they start like fighting about who gets to
Then what
travel.
else do you have in mind?
History. I want to see the point where the guide tells us that one of us will die. We know the situation. Kika, Bemeli, Kika, Margaret. Doesn't seem he has made
First
any.
of all,
Okay. I wanna save here. Yes. And now I've said nothing.
You will stay.
Okay, and then he tells us to stay
What?
if we do nothing.
You would have already decided to come if you had the proper mindset for a journey such as this. You two will stay.
Interesting.
you don't understand.
Guide raised his hand to me, ice cold. My words die in my throat. If he decides we aren't fit to cross, how could we persuade him otherwise?
This is bullshit.
Oh,
We are more than equipped
strong
to make
language.
this journey, and we know more of what it means to be in danger than most will know in all their life.
A little too strong-headed there,
Will
but
stay.
Bemeli muscles tense, and I put a hand on his arm. He trembles slightly beneath my fingers, his hands curling themselves into fists, but he doesn't say another word. Margaret uncomfortably looks from the guide to us.
Goodbye.
And so she goes.
Farewell.
Be safe. Oh. We reach Hammer safely. That's just an instant ending. My goodness. We reach Hammer safely, though it took much longer than we would have liked. Much of the village had been damaged or even destroyed. It was my fault for taking so long. I did all I could to aid them in defending their town and repairing what could be salvaged. Bemeli was disheartened by how little assistance we were able to provide. However, we could not deny how fortunate we were to have both made it at all, especially after we caught wind of the report being given by the guide to the elders of that night. So Margaret died? Every village close enough to Sinlos gets informed of what occurs in that lake. He does so because communities wish to be made aware if they have lost one of their own. This time his news was the death of a young woman, the one we spoke to, Margaret, is gone. So she died in the way. I have not heard nor seen the guide myself since then. I must assume he's still there on that foggy shore, waiting for desperate souls to seek out his light so they may cross the lake of true darkness. Although I regret that I was not able to do more to protect these people, no one admonishes me for it. They seemed sure that I did everything possible. I hope that is true, even if I cannot bring myself to believe it. Soon, Bemeli and I will return home, and we will once again take the long way around. My one piece remains sheltered from the reach of Nixie. Well, that's right, because the Nixie never attacked us, really. My one piece in all of this is that Sinlos will be far behind me in a matter of days. I intend to keep it there. The Lake of Voices. Interesting. Load. So then, instead of saying nothing, I believe we should go.
I believe you.
Okay. And then Roman's the pretty guy. Sometimes you sound like such a smart person, then I remind myself you're just as, if not crazier than us. I'm just smart and crazy, that's the thing. Okay, so it seems like the only things, or at least it's said at the beginning that you go down one of 5 paths. So far we've gone down the same one. The second one, the second different ending, I guess, in a way, was we decide, I say nothing, and then we don't cross the bridge, we have to go around, and that way we never came across any of the Nixie and, you know, survive. And then just Margaret died by herself, even though she was along with the guide. And then she managed to survive on her own when I had to leave them both to die. That's weird. But I don't know. Does the only other thing that changed just how things go is whether we all survive this first night and what we decide to do with Lou? Well, like, what if I do nothing here, for example? It lunges at Bemeli, it hits his legs, and he goes down, taking me with him. Oh, so we both go down. We slam against the bridge, our lanterns light blinking out as it hits the wood. We're engulfed in darkness and fog, and before I can do anything, a Nyx reaches out from the edge of the bridge and clings to Bemeli. It pulls hard, separating the two of us. Bemeli quickly slides nearer the edge as the Nyx retreats. Bemeli struggles to loosen the monster's long fingers from him to no avail.
No!
I lunge forward, but my hands only slap the surface of the bridge. I try to crowd closer, yet I can't keep up with the rapid pace of the horror playing out in front of me. Margaret rushes over to me, bathing me in her lantern's light and scaring away another Nyx at the surface edge. The Nyx with Bemeli likewise dives fully back in the black water, dragging him completely off to the side.
Bemeli!
He died. Oh, there he goes. Bye, Bemeli. I scramble to the edge and Bemeli is there, flailing to keep up with water. Before I can even extend a hand towards him, he's violently yanked underneath. The surface of the water grows still again in just a few seconds, as if the entire altercation didn't happen, as if Bemeli hadn't just been taken, as if he'd never been here in the first place. That's what also struck me, like, as kind of impressive in a way, or like it really caught my attention about this game. Whenever they die, like, it's so fast that when you go back, like, the characters of course resented because they hung out together, right, and they know each other, but it seems like it never, they were never there. Unless they tell you, like, oh yeah, we're sad because this character died, it almost seems like they were never there because of how fast things happen, and then just the Nixie disappear completely. Not for the rest of the story, but like right after they grab the person, they just whoop, and then it's gone. I'm going insane. I'm watching this stream, listening to a friend in a VC, texting a friend, and studying at the same. You can't study and do all those things at the same time. This is why your attention span is so short. Confused. You're just dividing your attention onto too many things. I stare down at the void in disbelief. A clicking, clattering sound, like the whining of cicadas, erupts around us. The Nixie are laughing. A hand grips my shoulder. The guide pulls Margaret and I back over to the center of the bridge, grabbing my lantern and holding it in front of my face.
Relight it. We're moving forward.
I stare at the lantern, unable to move.
What happened here? It didn't happen. Not until we reached the shore.
Oh my
Pretend
god,
you'll be there on the other side.
that is so
Whatever it
cruel. That dialogue is so cruel. I actually felt that. I felt that more than the other times he died. My god. My free hand slips into my pouch, pulling out a box of matches. I get one out and hold it up in front of my face. I can't seem to figure out what to do next. Margaret gently takes the match from my hand, relighting my lantern for me. As the light bursts to life and shines across her face, I feel like crying. The guy nods and begins forward again. Stiffly I follow, the box of matches crumpling in my grip. Margaret, now sure that I'm as okay as I can be, catches up to the guide, but remains closer to me than she did before.
What happened to the other lantern?
Well,
It
of
was
course it
taken
got
after the
dragged
light
at...
went out.
Yeah. Duh. Bitch, like, come on. What do you think happened? What conversation there was, or could have been, gets no further. It barely penetrates my mind. Margaret hovers nearby, watching me with clear worry on her face. I want to say something, want to reassure her, but I feel like I'm barely even in my own body. Nothing feels real. I can't accept Bameli being gone. I can't accept that he's gone for good, just like that. He can't just have disappeared. The guide's words flutter through my mind, and it's remarkably easy to believe what he said. Bameli will be waiting for me on the other side. Or maybe he'll be in the tavern when I make it back home, clapping me on the back and commending me for a job well done. He'll be laughing and drinking as he usually does, starting a fuss with the other guards. He can't just be gone. It can't be that I won't see his face again. A dim unusual noise penetrates the fog in my mind, and I realize Margaret is trying to talk to me. Her words sound far away, like she's speaking through a tunnel. She smiles nervously at me. I only look at her. The smile slides off her face. Instead, she stays by my side, walking towards with me.
Huh?
Something is pulling on my arm. Warm penetrates my cloth armor, and the feeling runs me slightly in my body. Margaret is whispering to me, pulling me forward and pointing at the guide. My eyes follow her finger, and I realize the guide is getting further away.
He's moving faster.
And then I snap back into awareness. Danger is still afoot, and Margaret is still alive. Shame trickles on my neck, shame for having lost my wits. I'm not supposed to be this way. I doubled my speed, feet pounding hard against wood. The sound and the rhythm soothed me enough to fully clear my mind.
Thank you for telling me, Margaret.
Burn the guide. I kind of want to. He's just such an asshole. He has enough, like I know he wants to survive. I get what he's saying. But all the time he's had enough light to make us all survive. And he doesn't because he's such a jerk. But they're talking about Genshin. Oh my god, no, not Genshin! Don't get me dragged down into a conversation about Genshin. Leave me alone. I cannot talk about Genshin. It's gonna just sidetrack me so bad. I love Genshin. I say it quietly, so quietly I'm sure she can't hear. But as Margaret runs past me, getting into her original position, she pants in response.
You're welcome.
We go faster and faster until suddenly we're full on sprinting across the slick wooden boards. I think we're almost there at the halfway point. The bridge appears to be sinking. I try hard to swallow my racing panic. The guide shouts something, but it's drowned out by the frantic pounding of her footsteps. What if we leave Margaret behind? I never stopped to consider that there's a point in this point where we can leave Margaret behind. Trying to piece together what he said, don't stop, turn? When he takes a masterfully sharp right down a different path using his own momentum and the slick wood to slide into the new direction with no loss of speed. She runs straight ahead. Okay, so I can just leave her behind. What about... Well, here, because it doesn't matter anyway. Yeah. She clumsily begins to haul her momentum down into the wrong bridge. Then I come up on the fork. Okay, let's help her this time. Because I'm by myself. So it's just the two of us. Just the two of us. I'll stay at the rear. Without further hesitation, she takes a leap. She makes it just past the edge of the ridge, knees buckling as she lands, but it soon backs up on her feet, and holding her lantern out towards me, she beams with pride. Point towards the guide. With Margaret safe, I can more easily focus on my own actions. It takes no effort to jump over the gap, and as soon as I land, I break into a sprint to catch up. The bridge that I jump from trembles and quickly vanishes into the water. Margaret and the guide's backs appear in front of me once again. I bite my lip to prevent myself from being overwhelmed with relief. At least Margaret is still here. I can still protect her. I will lose someone else. But then we were gonna... the guide stares at something slightly out of view. I step out to join him, following his gaze. Yeah, we're gonna come across Lou now. And I can either help him or leave him behind. There will be a chatting stream for that, yeah.
It's a man.
You think?
I'm sorry.
She's uneasy, but she doesn't voice her concerns. I'm trying to think of some kind of compromise when the guide speaks again, his voice cunning.
If the man comes, then whoever is shielding him will have to remain at a distance from the rest of the group.
Okay, yeah. It's the same. It doesn't matter how many of us are there, he just wants to leave him behind for some reason. Neither of us have the desire to speak and be the first to make a choice. And then he's like, oh, don't worry about me, I'll be fine. Yep.
Do you actually have a plan? Or are you just going to resume huddling in a little ball as soon as we pass by?
Margaret is blunt and to the point, but her tone doesn't suggest any spitefulness. He gives off a small chuckle.
When you come across a stranger having an emotional moment, it's not very polite to bring it up, you know.
To pretend not to see.
I suppose my question was a tad tactless. Given the situation we're in, however, it couldn't have been helped.
Yep.
I know.
Okay. Margaret lets out a sigh and scrunches her nose. Her reaction makes it pretty clear that she's not at all impressed with how things are unfolding. I can tell from her expression that she expects you.
You're tired of me already? I've really outdone myself now.
So...
Should you even be trying to walk? You aren't exactly in the best of states.
Yeah, he lets out a small chuckle.
There's no need to worry about me. I'm perfectly fine going on.
See, like, because of this attitude, I was like, last time, like, okay, he wants to go, he basically wants to die. I'm not gonna help him, I can't risk losing these two.
Shouldn't he be following us anyways? Isn't there only one way to the island?
I'm not going there.
Oh.
Huh.
He must have come quite a ways if it was the other shore that he started on.
Yep.
Good. That's not so bad.
Ooh. He's going to leave. And separated from the guide could easily be a dead. Yep. Still, I could stay behind. This isn't an entirely foregone conclusion. No, we're not gonna. For now, at least. We're not gonna. So... Here. Yes. I'm just gonna leave him behind for now. I can't risk it. Margaret stares at the man as he leaves. We would watch him drag his feet, little frame down the bridge, quickly fading from sight. We already suffered the loss of one of our own. The space the man vanished into is dark and silent. We can see and hear nothing of him, not even his footsteps. Margaret tries to pull herself together as best as possible. I follow her lead. We need to get through this somehow, and being weighted down with guilt will only distract us. The guide starts moving again at a quick pace. And then I assume we get... Huh?
Will throwing that little thing actually work?
Yes, it will.
What? But what if we aren't fast enough?
Okay, the bridge will be
die.
set on fire.
We're not losing another lantern.
Yep. And then the bridge is on fire. Margaret falls to the ground. At least I thought that was what happened. She starts pawing at the bridge. Oh yeah, she can't see. I also didn't make any of these choices back when Wimeli was alive, now that I think about it.
Glasses aren't here anymore.
Yup. Is that the island? Okay. Now we're here. Beside me, Margaret is still fast asleep. The guide, however, is nowhere to be seen. Burning bridges? Yep. Yeah, when the Nixie started to get like a hand, like they started to crawl more and more on the bridge. The guide ended up setting the bridge on fire, and then we ran to the island because that prowlers aren't the problem anymore. Yeah, like when he burned the bridges, then because there's so much light, the prowlers go back into the surface, but now you have to like run for your life unless you get like burnt alive by the bridges. And it doesn't matter if you burn them at night, like whenever they resurface, they're back to normal. So it was a kind of good call, except for the fact that Margaret fell and then she lost her glasses, and that's a debuff for her. Okay. Notice Margaret begins to stare. Her mouth opens and shuts, and after a moment of fumbling, a word finally escapes.
Hello to you.
Huh. A bucket of quiet sense of our
We should eat something soon. Margaret, do you have enough supplies?
Yes, I think I'll be alright with what I have.
Yeah, these are conversations that I
good.
had with her before, but alongside Wimeli, and now Wimeli is not here.
The Nixie will not tread on land in daylight.
Yeah,
Before
but we
the
still
sun
need to
sets, I
stay
will
away
be
from
in
the
this
shore.
area. It would be wise to meet me here before night.
Despite Margaret's pointed question, the guide considers his piece here finished. Okay.
Are you alright?
No, I'm not. Nothing.
Before I can spill out of her, she turns to her heels and walks off in the direction yep. And she goes on her own. And now I either need to speak with the guide or I need to be alone, which at the end of the day gives me the same conclusion anyways. Because he doesn't talk. Yep. And then I'm probably gonna come across Margaret, and then everything's fine.
Hello, Kika.
Yeah, she's not doing well.
Hello.
I wonder. Like, will the endings be the same, just now, like, it's easier for her to either... No, because now there's only 3 of us. What happens when the Nixie come on the island? Last night's journey. So now that because Wimeli died, the bridge doesn't take long to appear and we don't have to fend off from the prowlers on the island. Huh. Very interesting. Then what? It feels as though barely any time has passed when it explained that how the night has crept by. We encountered a few sunken bridges which forced us to reroute, while other paths were rotten enough to make us stagger our steps. However, the biggest threat of all is eerily absent, the prowlers. I haven't seen more than shadowy glimpses of them down other paths, and even those may have simply been tricks of the fog. I feel I may be even more on edge tonight than the last. Judging by Margaret's tenseness, she isn't at ease by the lack of presence either.
Why?
I whispered the question softly, almost silently, as I scanned left and right across the impossibly empty bridges for any sign of movement. I pondered whether they're still wary from the consuming blaze that lit up the night yesterday, or if they are less dragging themselves across the bridges than usual because many have already gotten what they wanted. My skin crawls with a touch of icy fingers at the thought, and I can't control the sharp shiver that travels on my spine. Margaret catches my concern as she slows her walking somewhat.
It's very quiet out here. I haven't heard anything but our footsteps since we started.
Yep.
Yes.
She seems a tad disappointed by my brusque answer, but Margaret quickly refocuses and continues walking. As time passes by, we continue to see nothing but more bridges and fog. Beside me, Margaret eyes the guide sharply. She begins to question him.
How do you know where you're going?
Her tone is harsh and clipped. He doesn't answer, prompting her to continue.
I heard that it's impossible to create a map of the bridges because they can change. I can understand that since I've seen them sink partway through the night myself. But I'm curious, how exactly are you able to tell that we're going the correct way?
Great question.
Remember what exactly?
She huffs to herself at the notion.
All these bridges look exactly the same.
But they aren't the same.
He replies immediately this time, addressing Margaret's line of questioning head-on despite having his back to us.
How many boards there are, the angle they curve at, the width. There are ways to tell them apart. It isn't the bridges alone either. There are signs in the water and even with the way the air feels.
Interesting.
As little as there is, everything here can be a marker, as long as one is actually committed to keeping it in mind.
I see.
Despite wanting to dismiss the guide, she does seem focused enough to be making mental notes on everything he's explained about the maze. She slowly falls into step with me, seemingly satisfied with the partial conversation she had been having with the guide.
It is still terribly difficult to navigate this dreadful place without.
Well, yeah, because you can't see anything.
It's going to be all right.
I firmly reassure her, however, she merely scoffs again.
Perhaps not with a leader like him.
Her tongue grows more annoyed.
I wonder how many people have needlessly died because he was the only person around to show them the way.
So you want to be like a guide now? Oh no, decisions. Hold on. I have nowhere left to save. Give me a moment. Where do I save? Where what? Okay, I either save. You know what? It's here. It's fine. Yes. Wait, hold on. Let me load now because I didn't even see the questions. Yes. Fairer than those who would have died without him. We need to focus. Say nothing. Margaret raises her eyebrows and her frown tightens.
I cannot say with certainty that the guide has always made wise decisions. However, there isn't enough evidence for us to state that he takes his position lightly, or that one would be better off without him.
She pauses for a moment, determining the viewpoint.
Perhaps. I still think that things could be far better.
True. Finishing that thought, she resumes her normal pace again. I'm shrimping.
You're following too closely.
Oh.
I'm not at all within an arm's reach of you.
So beforehand she would be like, oh no, I'm sorry. But now she's so annoyed at him for... I was gonna say for some reason, but it's because we lost 2 people because of him, technically.
You're close enough. Stay further behind. If you're not happy with how I lead, then continue on by yourself.
Yep. I was gonna be like, he's gonna get mad at it. That's not good because we don't know the way. I start to feel concern creep in. The lack of trust between them has grown dangerously high, and with the way they're speaking, I fear that it could escalate further.
We should remain as a single group.
Margaret ignores me completely, while remaining unfazed by the guy directly addressing the concern she had voiced.
It's rather hard to respect a leader who eavesdrops on conversations.
His jaw clenches as she tests his patience.
Either you are to lead yourself, or you will follow my path. Those are your choices. Say which one it will be.
Yikes.
Oh, so both options are to die then?
That biting comment makes me wince, as I fear the situation is spiraling further down and any words to stop its descent cannot be found in my racing thoughts.
If you enter these bridges, all you should expect is death. That is no secret.
Truth. The guide continues, annoyance leaking into his voice.
I think that the results would have been different if only I had said more or did something differently. But that is not true. The conclusion would be exactly the same. If Lou hadn't died when he did, he would have been lost at some other point during the trip.
I just wonder one thing. Like, up until this point, like, even when on my first playthrough of this, we never knew his name. He never said it. And I think even as he walked away during this one, maybe I'm misremembering, he never mentioned his name, and his name remained as question marks. So this is, I don't know if it's a programming thing, because even the game at the end, when in the endings I've gotten, whether Margaret or Bemeli survive, it always says like, oh, we couldn't save Margaret and Lou, before they tell you that the person you encounter on the bridge is that his name was Lou. So it's kind of spoiling you that his name is Lou, because the first time it happened I was like, but wait, who's Lou? And I could only assume that it was the guy because he's the only other person we encounter outside from Bemeli and Margaret. But why mention the name if well, maybe he knows it? Because again, he feels the reports, but none of us know their names beforehand. So I don't know.
Lou?
Yeah, Lou.
Yes, Lou was his name. I had spoken with him
Okay, so in this
past.
case it makes
He
sense
wanted to
because
cross
he's
the
like, oh yeah,
bridges.
I've met him
I had
before, I
deemed
know
him
his
unfit.
name.
He was far too desperate
But in
and
the
unprepared.
endings, when we
There's no helping
don't
someone like that.
interact with him, like, and learn his name, it doesn't make sense that it says like, oh, Lou, you know? The guide sounds even more agitated as he elaborates.
That sounds like excuses to me.
Oh my god, Margaret.
You're adept enough to traverse these bridges so often that you've memorized the minute details of them, but you couldn't help him? Why are you the only one who gets to avoid death here?
Because then, if he dies, no one else gets to cross. The guide's face twists into a vicious snarl. He shouts.
I have died.
What?
I have no life to give. Everything I am, everything I could have been, was surrendered to this lake. That is the only reason why I'm able to
Huh?
survive for you now.
Delulu? Kind of.
I can show you the way, and I can give you advice on how to survive the perils you will face. That is all I'm able to offer. Is that not enough for you? What else do you want from me?
Kindness, sympathy. It's been far too many years since I was capable of giving anything.
They're having a discussion. Apparently he has died, but I don't know if he means that literally, or if he's just referring to how he has now devoted his life to helping people cross and give them the advice to cross, and he can't do anything else with his life, and that is kind of like dying for him. I don't know if he's being literal or metaphorical. There is no response from either of us. An agonizing silence permeates the air. No one dares to even move. The bridge is sinking so fast! Already?
Wait!
I look up at Margaret's frantic call. My chest tightens when I see her and the guide on what has become the other side of the small chasm. I leap back just in time as the bridge under me snaps like a twig. Glancing over again, they keep getting farther and farther away with each disappearing platform I move off of. Dread creeps up my neck and I nearly lose my footing once I realize what's happening. He's leaving us behind. In another 3 swift steps, I am finally in sturdy wood. The bridges reluctantly stop shifting and settle. The only trace left of what was once a huge section of bridge is a few splinter boards floating in the murky water. The lake consumed it. Somehow I am not surprised. Regaining my bearings, I face what has become of my circumstances. I am now separated from Margaret and the guide by a far wider gorge than anyone could leap. My throat goes bone dry as I tether at the end of the bridge, mind wildly scrambling for a solution that doesn't come. I look onto Margaret's face. She's completely aghast, wringing her hands and opening her mouth wordlessly. She has little idea of what to do with herself. I'm not quite sure what to do with myself either. Margaret keeps her eyes on me, but I can faintly hear her address the guide. I'm too far off to grasp what Margaret is asking, but I get the impression that she's seeing if there's another way. The guy turns to me. He's completely cooled down from earlier interaction, back to his same placid expression. The guide says one word. Judging from the lack of heartbeat on Margaret's face, I can assume it has no. Yeah. My arms run cool to cold to freezing. It's not long before the rest of my body follows. Tears rip down Margaret's face. Yeah, they're leaving me behind.
Go back and take the next bridge you come across that goes west. There may be enough time for you to find your own way.
Oh. I blinked, taking it back for a moment, before I quickly regained my composure. That's right, this isn't over. I still have my lantern with me. The prowlers are less active, and if the guide says that it's possible, it could be true. I nod solemnly at his words and yell back.
I'll meet you there. Don't wait for me.
He bows his head and starts to slowly back away from the edge. Margaret tries and fails to dry her eyes as she looks at me helplessly from across the waters. I smile forlornly at her as the wind whips against my back. I speak softly. There is no way she could have heard me, yet I'm confident that the sentiment got across. I spin on my heels and run back the way we came, searching for the bridge the guide said to take. I can only hope that we shall safely reunite before this night ends. I spare a brief glance behind me, however there is no trace of them or even the dead end I was stranded at. With a painful contracting of my heart, I realize that I am truly alone now. Quickly, I shake off the thought and refocus my attention on what's in front of me. The first branching of the path comes into reach. I slow down to a calmer pace and begin my progress down the western bridge. It would be reckless to consider going against the guide's directions. I walk at a moderately brisk pace, not wanting to risk tripping or running out of energy in a moment where I need it. If the eeriness of the lake was disconcerting before, now it's overwhelming. The blizzard-like fog drifting over the waters limits my vision to the span of my arms. The utter silence was a comfort despite how otherworldly it felt, but the whispering of the lake has started to stir now. I gulp despite myself. They've noticed me. As their chattering grows, I considerably feel if the others hear them as well, or if they have come out specifically because I am on my own. I straighten my back and walk more surely. I cannot let them believe I am an easy target. I even considered keeping my sword in hand, but it doesn't seem entirely likely they will realize it is something that could hurt them. To keep my mind from wandering into dark places, I count my steps like we used to in training. 1, 2, 3, 4. Despite my best efforts, things are starting to get to me. My words wash over me, causing painful twinges underneath my clothes that make me jerk and twitch like a fly-bitten horse. The whispering human voices, the feeling of vulnerability, the horrible thought of being hopelessly lost all meld together and is consuming me. My pace breaks from the steady rhythm of my counting set. It quickens more as I start to succumb to fear. My brisk step turns into long frantic strides. Something in me whispers, faster, go faster, don't let them catch you, and I listen. I break into a run, like moving on landmines. Flashes of fear explode in my mind as I drive my feet harder, faster, stronger along the path. Until suddenly my sense of reason returns and I stop dead. My chest rises and falls with deep, heavy breaths as I try to calm myself down. The monsters erupt into an inharmonious chorus of what sounds to be wicked laughs. I fight the urge to shout back at the creatures. This feels like a nightmare I will never wake up from. I take another breath and resume my measured progress. Even after the first crossroad, I continue with the guide's simple direction, keeping west every chance I get. I have no other hints for this labyrinth. It's difficult to tell how much time has passed. It must be at least an hour judging by how much energy I've expended. Since I recompose myself, I have not stopped walking for a second. Despite how much time was worn on, the road still feels like an endless abyss. Then I hear a noise which causes a shuddering chill to creep down my spine, an uneven clicking followed by a squelching sound. It's a prowler. I immediately turn to look behind me. There's nothing. I breathe out relieved. Now it's in front of you. My ears search for the source of the noise, but with all the babble the Nyx are making, the direction is clouded. I strain my ears. That's it. The noise is drifting slowly from one of the connecting paths up ahead. I can faintly tell the noise is drawing nearer. The prowler has not arrived yet, but soon its path will intercept with my own. I will not wait for it to reveal itself, leaving me two options. I can run past the bridge connection to get ahead of it, or I turn back and find a new path to take. I say we go past it. and pick up my pace while I'm sprinting. I hear a gurgling hiss as I pass through the crossroad. It must have been close enough to be pained by the light. I barely made it. However, I didn't hear any splash. It is still nearby. I look behind me to see if it at least decided to come no further. Ah! Horrified, I realize that it's pointedly following me. It is no longer mindlessly dragging itself through the blackness. I have become its target. Its limbs bend wildly and unnaturally. It looks as though it only barely keeping itself upright as its torso wobbles up on its hips. That isn't stopping it from giving it chase. I focus my view back ahead and continue to run. My breathing rapidly becomes ragged and I can still hear the squishing footsteps of the prowler behind me as it lunges its body forward in an unnatural gait. Without warning, the bridge lurches to one side. Oh, it's that one path. Catching me completely off guard, I lose my footing and slam into the damp surface of the bridge. My light falls with me, painfully snuffing out. Oh no! I'm dead. I'm left with no time to ponder the mystery as the monster draws near. I scramble back onto my feet as it closes in. Grabbing my dark lantern, I resume running to put some space between us again. I open the latch of the lantern and pull out the match. I'll have to slow down at least briefly to properly light the flame without it blowing out. With death still on my heels, I must not let one precious moment be wasted. Settle my plan, and with everything in hand, I begin to decrease my pace. Light the lantern. Still a glance behind me, it has surely stopped. The return of light seems to catch it off guard and thankfully declines to come in closer. Run! After a moment to breathe, I rush forward once more. Fighting isn't an option and I need to get away from that monster. I am not able to run fast enough, however. Oh no! No! Oh no. No more Nixie, go away! I try to climb up onto my feet, but one of the creatures takes hold of me before I can properly stand. I'm dragged back down to the ground, my jaws smacking hard against the bridge as the Nyx blindly pulls me towards the edge. Other slimy clawed hands grab onto me as I jam my nails hard into the crevice in the bridge. I kick frantically at their silhouettes, but they keep pulling me closer to the edge. I curl my fingers around the uneven wood tighter. Despite all my effort, there is no support. Hold on. I didn't properly finish reading that. There's no support, my body splintered fingers come loose. Water engulfs my vision, heavy and cold, so thick I can't even hear my own thrashing. I try to grab my sword, try to fight back, but I can't even get it out of the hilt. The resistance against me is all-encompassing. Something grabs my arm, and then my waist. I get pulled from one side to side, or further down. First one way and then another. The water feels like a solid substance, and being dragged against it it's like I'm being pressed through something. My vision grows darker and darker. I can't tell whether I'm going lower or whether I'm losing consciousness. My arms flail to bring me closer to whatever the surface is, but nothing is working. Complete darkness engulfs me. Was everything I've done worth it? I must believe that it was. And we died again. That's great. Grim finally has your soul. Okay, so I have thoughts. So I like the game a lot. I really do. But the rest of the endings seem very long because they require you to like make choices, or like the different paths have like way more story than I originally thought. So there's gonna be one of two options. You guys tell me. Oh, well, it's only you confused, but I'll ask in the server as well. Either we make another stream of this and see if maybe we end it. Either next week or the following. I'm still not sure. Or we end it here and I finish this by myself to see the rest of the endings, And if you guys want to see the rest of the endings, you can get the game on Steam or itch.io. It's for free on both sides, so it would be up to you guys. I'm talking plural because if there's someone else watching the VOD, hi, it's been 3 hours. I'm so sorry. I usually tend to keep it to 2 hours, but this took way longer than I expected. So I'll leave it up to you guys whether we make another stream of this. Because it has also not been like as popular, but that I usually don't care too much about that. Because a lot of the games I play aren't. But it's about experiencing things together, right? So I either do another stream of this, or I finish it on my own and you guys get the game if you want to see the rest of the endings. Because it's really good and it has a lot of content for it being free. Like, even, like, I know I'm saying this as if none other game does that. Ballads at Midnight is also for free. You can get it on Steam and it's amazing. And it has a lot of story behind it. I made only 2 streams of it, but I finished it in those 2 streams. It doesn't have like a lot of routes or anything, but it does have multiple choices and it's very good. But I just still listening. Okay. I have confused its opinion now. But maybe someone else has a strong... Yeah. So I'm gonna ask around on the server as well, and if there are any people watching the VOD after the fact, hi. Please leave your comments deciding on whether you want to see another one of these or not. And based on that, I will decide. Because it does get like a little bit slow on certain points where I have to like skip dialogue and then I'm like, oh, I've already read this, but because I'm on a different path, it's not letting me skip and all of that. So yeah. Now I just want to see how many sieges we have left to unlock. We have blues. Now we have this one before getting dragged down. The deaths, this one. More prowlers. Pameli fighting, sword fighting with us. Sort of sparring, however it is pronounced. There's still a lot of CGs we're missing. 7, 10, 11, 12 CGs. It also has a lot of art. My goodness, this is such a good game for it to be for free. My god. Anyway. Now, I was talking about another game that I've played on the channel before that is also for free and it has a lot of content as well. But yeah, anyway. So, I will leave it here for today because it's been 3 hours. And I'll let you know whatever the choice ends up being after I consult with other people on the server and whoever ends up coming in here, if they do. So, with that, thanks so much for coming, thanks so much for being here and giving me a couple of your hours. I hope you had fun. This is a very interesting story. What was the name? It's Ballads at Midnight. Ballads at Midnight. It's about vampires. It's about vampires, and it's really good. I really like that. And it also has voice acting in some sections. It's really good. I like the music as well. Ah. So good. That is more romance heavy, I guess. But it's really good. It's really good. I really like it. Anyway, you can also ask Khan about it. He was there on those streams, I believe. Because I remember him making fun of me for not wanting to read a specific line out loud. But anyway, with that, I will see you tomorrow with Omori. Alright? And we're, at this point, I think we're probably gonna have a Just Chatting stream on Thursday. We'll see. Anyway, bye-bye, guys. Bye! Ending screen, so I stop yapping. Anyway, bye, guys. See you soon.